man casually waves his short blade, instantly stunning the mercenary test examiner. The competition has barely begun, yet he already has his knife pressed against the examiner's throat. I had already planned my strategy before the match started. The moment the competition begins, I immediately use lateral movement to get behind her. Then, with lightning speed, I press the blade against the examiner's neck. The examiner slowly pushes the knife away. You've passed the assessment. As agreed, I'll assign you a level 50 difficulty mission. I sheath my blade in one smooth motion. My first objective is successfully achieved. If not for the original owner's resistant constitution, my cultivation speed could be 10 times faster. I was originally a novel author. Because I wrote a terrible ending, I ended up transmigrating into the novel I wrote. And I even transmigrated as the biggest villain in the story. Now I'm trapped here doing hard labor. In this hellish place, people get beaten to death every day. What infuriates me most is that I gave him an innate magic allergy as a side effect to limit the villain's growth, causing my magical power growth to be extremely slow. However, I quickly accepted this reality and made up my mind that I must escape this prison as soon as possible. Fortunately, I'm very familiar with this novel and already have a way to escape. Now I have transmigrated into Marcus Chen's body, so all his past experiences and skills have appeared on me. I immediately open his attribute panel and find that all abilities are ridiculously low, and my current stamina is also terrible. I really shouldn't have given him the innate magic allergy weakness back then. I pick up a magic crystal and draw a pentagram on the ground. Just then, I hear someone approaching from behind. I quickly erase the pattern. Absolutely no one can see this. The person asks if I want to take a break, saying I look very tired. I chuckle. In this place, they won't allow us to rest. Otherwise, they wouldn't have brought us here in the first place. This criminal organization is called Eclipse, and this is the Qingming concentration camp they built. They kidnap junior hunters who can use magic, then bring them to this underground mine through illegal means, forcing them to mine magic stones every day. I turn to look at that person, telling him not to worry about me and to hurry up and mine magic stones. The blonde guy suddenly hesitates, then whispers to me, "Marcus, do you want to escape from here?" But as soon as he finishes speaking, I interrupt him. "You'd better hurry up and mine magic stones, or you'll get beaten again for not meeting your quota." I specifically warn him not to act rashly. Then I ignore him completely and start mining magic stones on my own. This warning is already more than generous. After all, he's just a character I created based on that guy. If I want to escape from here, I cannot go against the novel's plot. For the next few days, I focus on mining magic stones, showing no signs of any escape plan. Just then, I notice another fight breaking out in front of me. The one being beaten is the same guy who wanted me to escape with him yesterday. He tried to break out while the guards were busy with new arrivals, but got caught. The guard slowly picks up his long blade. "All you scum better watch closely. This is what happens when you try to escape." With a sickening sound, the guard pierces straight through the man's chest. This scene leaves us all stunned. The guards are truly ruthless. Moments later, I approach his corpse. "You really are a fool. I told you not to act rashly." The guard laughs maniacally. "Want to interfere like last time? No one's stopping me this time. I can kill you too." However, I respond coldly. This guy's life or death has nothing to do with me. Hearing this, he frowns slightly, surprised by my complete change in temperament. I turn and ask the guard, "Can you allow me to use the restroom?" The guard's face shows a wild grin. "You really are a coward. You're scared by this little scene?" Soon, the guard brings me to the restroom entrance. But there's one condition. I must come out within 1 minute. If I dare waste even one more second, this place will become my grave. When I push open the door, I'm completely shocked. There are actually dozens of corpses lying densely packed inside. Probably whenever the guard outside is in a bad mood, he brings someone here to kill them. I walk inside while searching for something. The guard outside is counting down. I only have 50 seconds left. After searching around, I finally find what I need. I immediately stop hesitating and cut my hand on the wall. Then, using the blood from my hand, I draw a pattern on the ground. The guard outside has counted down to 30. I really don't have much time left. Another 10 plus seconds pass. I finally finish drawing the pattern, the same one I drew with the crystal stone before. I slowly stand up and speak to the pattern. "I know you've been watching me, and I know that tragic trials and sorrow drive you mad." Suddenly there's a loud crash outside. "You brat! You've got 10 seconds left. Hurry up and get out here." I ignore him and continue talking to the pattern. "Aren't you curious how a rookie like me can summon you?" Actually, according to the novel's progression, the pattern will appear after some time, and will tell me that if I hesitate one more day, this world's hope becomes even dimmer, finally urging me to escape. So I'm now eager to make him respond to my summons. I will definitely provide him entertainment according to his wishes. After waiting a while, the pattern seems motionless, so I say to it, "The person who can use your abilities to their fullest is me." The next moment, several lightning flashes pass before me. This fills me with ecstatic joy. "You finally appeared." In the novel, the one who contracts with Marcus Chen is the Prime Throne, the dimensional predator. Thunder crashes and the throne finally emerges from the pattern. Once the Prime Throne emerges, laughter fills the room without stopping. "What an arrogant fellow. Since you've said this much, I'll lend you my power. Let's see what you're capable of." After that, I feel a vortex descending upon me. "Just wait and see. I absolutely won't disappoint you." With a snap, an interface window appears before me. At the same time, the guard kicks open the door and walks in. But when he enters, he senses something's wrong. This place seems to have become very cold and eerie. The next second, a figure suddenly appears in front of him, giving the guard quite a fright. At this moment, I activate my skill, using a brief max-level short-distance leap. In just an instant, I appear right in front of the guard. Then I use my max-level lateral movement skill. In just a blink, I vanish from in front of the guard again. Even the dumbest person would know something's wrong now. Someone's trying to escape, but when he turns around, he finds no one at the door behind him. At the same time, I appear before him like the Grim Reaper, ready to claim claim his life. The thin tube in my hand is already prepared. I give him no time to react. My palm extends forward, stabbing the tube into his neck. With a swift motion, I pull out the tube and quickly let his blood drain. With a thud, the guard's body crashes heavily to the ground, already lifeless. In the end, I have to thank this guard. Without him, I couldn't have made up my mind to leave this place. The throne chuckles, "You really are an interesting fellow." I quickly pick up the weapons from the ground. Killing this guard today counts as revenge, and next I'm going to charge forward regardless of everything. After that, I kill another guard and change into his clothes. Then I go to the warehouse and grab several barrels of gasoline, preparing to burn this place to the ground. This is my only way to escape. Only when this place becomes chaotic will I have a chance to get out. And this final step is arson. Once all conditions are met, I can walk out through the main gate openly. Soon, the fire here attracts many people's attention. The fire is so fierce, and there's the smell of gasoline nearby. Clearly, someone set this fire deliberately. While everyone goes to fight the fire, I do the opposite. Right now, I'm in a vehicle, ordering 2 guards to drive northwest. The driver is somewhat puzzled, but because I'm wearing a second-level supervisor's uniform, they don't dare question anything. To make things reasonable, I tell them someone escaped from Building 18, and we need to hurry over. Sure enough, after hearing this, they floor the gas pedal. The northwest direction leads to Qingming Mountain, with its barbed wire. It's dark and windy there, with no guards, making it perfect for escape. But actually, the place is full of traps dug by Eclipse. Thinking you can escape from there is pure fantasy. So I need to use intelligence that only supervisors know to escape from there. So I tell them both, our mission is to catch the escapee, but even if we don't catch him, he'll flee to Qingming Mountain. We just need to bring back his corpse then. The guard driving nods. We soon reach the first checkpoint. After we give the correct password, he quickly lets us through. In that moment, my heart pounds with extreme nervousness, because I'm about to leave this hellish prison. After leaving the checkpoint, our vehicle continues driving northwest. The man driving ahead says slowly, "This kind of incident at Building 18 must be quite a headache." This time I say viciously, "These disobedient prisoners might as well be killed outright." This makes the man in the passenger seat somewhat alert, but the driver doesn't think anything of it. Those scum should be killed anyway. In this hellish place, no one treats prisoners as human beings, so they call them scum. But that officer just called them prisoners. Thinking this, he becomes even more alert and starts testing me with questions. "Second level guard, sir. When did you start working at Building 18? This makes my heart panic. Although I'm the author of this novel, I don't really understand the basic structure of this world's organizations. I can only lie that I just arrived the day before yesterday. However, the questioning doesn't end. Then you should originally be from Group 9, right? I nod. Unexpectedly, the passenger tries to trap me. But there was never a Group 9 here before. Was it just established the day before yesterday? With a swift sound, as his words fall, I slice him in half. My speed catches everyone off guard. You fool, couldn't you just drive honestly? Why did you have to keep asking questions? This scene gives the driver a huge shock. Even with his dull brain, he understands I'm acting strange. Only now do I answer that man's question. Group 9 was created specifically to eliminate scum like you. A sharp, piercing brake sound echoes through the entire forest. Because of the sudden braking, I can't stand steady in the car. With a crash, the body of the man I just killed is thrown heavily outward. The driver quickly gathers magic power in his hands. You dare deceive us? With a boom, the fireball explodes right past my neck. My eyes glance backward. Unexpectedly, the car has been melted with a huge hole. Seeing this situation, I quickly distance myself from him. Then the man launches another fireball spell. A blaze shoots skyward, based on the attack direction. He should have melted me. Seeing this scene, he can't help but snort coldly. Seems like you're not that capable after all. However, when he turns his head, he actually sees my reflection in the rearview mirror. The next moment, my figure suddenly disappears. My speed is horrifyingly fast. With a crash, my long sword pierces through his window, heading straight for his throat. This sword thrust pierces right through his throat, preventing him from making any sound. Weren't you quite arrogant just now? Try being arrogant again? This guard is too shocked to speak. I quickly pull out my long sword and finish him off cleanly. I give him a heavy kick, sending him crashing to the ground. But just then, my head feels a sharp pain. This makes me curse silently. Whenever I use too much magic power, I get headaches. What's worse, patrol team members have actually arrived here. I chuckle. This really is an unexpected situation. Looks like this is the final test. As soon as I finish speaking, I leap up and jump down the cliff. Then I land steadily on the ground. Suddenly I hear a man's voice. Not bad. You actually managed to kill 2 guards and escape. That's pretty solid. A man appears in front of me carrying an axe on his shoulder. What catches my attention is the red dot above his head. Could he also be a hunter with a throne contract? If so, I need to be careful, because I don't know what his abilities are. Then I examine his attribute panel. I discover he's a skilled resonator, neutral throne, with the ability to track magic power. No wonder he could track me so easily. It's his magic tracking ability. At this moment, I show an evil smile. Heaven is truly helping me. The man is puzzled. You're about to die, what's so funny? I don't bother responding to him. Instead, I look at the red dot above his head. The reason I can see the red dot above his head is because I gained an ability. This ability allows me to steal another hunter's contract with their throne when I eliminate them. The man doesn't know he's about to die and continues laughing foolishly. The system notifies me that this person is a plunderable target. This makes me even more excited. This is my first chance to use throne plundering. However, I must note that those who can contract with thrones are generally above level 100, so I need to avoid direct confrontation. My feet bend slightly as I gather power in my palms. The next moment, I run laterally. I do this to feint and achieve victory through surprise. Sure enough, he shows a disdainful smile. So you're just low-level trash who can only run with your tail between your legs. With a whoosh, I dive directly into the bushes. The man chuckles. You'd better hide well or I'll find you very soon. The man closes and opens his eyes. When he looks again, his pupils have undergone a dramatic change. Now in his eyes, he can only see 3 colors: blue, green, and orange. He continuously searches the forest for traces of my remaining magic power. Finally, he discovers an orange magic trace behind a tree. That's exactly where I am. This fills the man with joy. Didn't expect to find you so quickly. The next moment, he turns and instantly throws 4 or 5 throwing knives. However, strangely, after he cuts down the tree, he doesn't find my figure. With a slash, my figure appears like a flash, directly cutting his throat with one sword strike. The man never expected my speed to be so fast, taking his life with just a simple movement. I flick my long sword. You're way too arrogant. As a melee fighter, how could you carelessly throw away your weapons? With a thud, the man is killed by me. The entire process takes less than 2.5 minutes. The system sends a notification that I've eliminated the opponent and successfully seized the skilled resonator's contract. I pant heavily. Didn't expect signing a contract would be this simple. Soon the system sends another notification. The skilled resonator now belongs to the dimensional predator. Unless the throne disappears or the contract is terminated, it cannot break free. Not only that, all of the skilled resonator's abilities now belong to me. I check his skill list and find there are 2 skills in total. These 2 skills are magic tracking and night vision. I eagerly use the night vision ability to check the surrounding situation. Looking around, everything ahead is green, with no red magic fluctuations. There should be no other pursuers around. At this moment, I feel a sharp pain in my brain and taste sweetness in my mouth. I didn't expect my current body to be this weak. Just using slightly too much magic power causes physical discomfort. Earlier, to get close to him, I used short distance leap, which consumed a lot of magic power. That's why my body is in this state, but there's no helping it. Soon, dawn breaks without notice, and I limp up the mountain. My eyes glance downward. Finally, here you come. Below is a truck transporting magic stone refinement sand. I leap up and jump straight down toward the truck. With a thump, I land steadily on the truck. Only then do I lie on the truck and rest properly. For now, I'm relatively safe. I killed 3 guards during my escape, but this plot doesn't exist in the novel. Before I grow to a certain level, future events cannot be changed. Only this way can I fully utilize what I know. Currently, I'm just an insignificant person to this world, so I shouldn't be able to change the future. But right now, I can't think about all that. I just want to rest properly. I look up at the sky and find today's clouds particularly beautiful. When I reach the city, I enter a phone booth. Right now, my whole body is in excruciating pain. If I don't get emergency treatment, I might actually die. I immediately make a phone call. I tell the person on the phone, I'm at Dacian Station now. Can you shelter me for a day? At the same time, my actions catch someone's attention. The man laughs wildly. Looks like there's going to be an interesting hunt. In the afternoon, I arrive at a girl's room. The person bandaging me is called Sophia Han. I tell her I was kidnapped by Eclipse people. This gives Sophia a huge shock. Then you must have been imprisoned in their magic stone mines. Those bastards love kidnapping hunters. They're already notorious across the continent. To mine magic stones, you must have magic power. Low-level hunters like me can only become prey for other hunters. The reason I chose to contact Sophia Han is because she still loves Marcus Chen. After we broke up, Sophia was just a newly awakened rookie, but now she's already a throne contractor and a level 150 veteran hunter. Sophia blames herself terribly. If I had stayed in contact with you after we broke up, you definitely wouldn't have encountered this. Actually, it's not what she thinks. If she had still been with me then, she would have been captured and sent to Qingming concentration camp too. I slowly stand up and say, you don't need to blame yourself anymore. This has nothing to do with you, and I'm already being targeted by those Eclipse people. So to avoid causing trouble for Sophia, I plan to leave right now. Before leaving, Sophia prepares clothes, a phone, and cash for me. These are fairly secure and shouldn't be traceable. Her actions make me think she's already joined a guild and is involved in gray areas, otherwise she couldn't know so much about this. But for her, whether before or now, joining a guild suits her. Sophia says happily, have you thought about joining our guild? We could be like before. I immediately interrupt her, telling her not to continue. I think we should both look forward, not be trapped in the past. This shocks Sophia tremendously. Then tears slide down from the corners of her eyes. So Sophia stops dwelling on the past. According to what I said before, she's already handled it. She knows a female group leader there, and the details are stored in the phone. Finally, Sophia says to me solemnly, I hope you take care after this farewell. Don't get sick, because no one will be there to treat you. I turn and stare into her eyes. Seeing Sophia in this state puts me at ease. Moments later, I call a taxi downstairs and head to Dacian Station. On the road, the taxi driver turns on the radio. The radio reports that the Purification Guild has captured the entire White Rose mercenary group. This White Rose mercenary group was a criminal organization that expanded rapidly after Judgment Day. On what seemed like a peaceful day, Judgment Day suddenly arrived. They wore strange clothing, continuously harvesting the lives of H country citizens. If they wanted, they could quickly engulf an entire city in flames. At that time, fearless reporters went to the scene to report on this, but the next second, they were dragged away by unknown monsters, and the reporters never appeared again. When these unknown monsters appeared, dungeons also quietly emerged. In this hellscape, some people actually gained powerful abilities. These are the hunters. Faced with indescribable circumstances, people could only believe this was divine judgment, but the hunters who should have been hunting monsters instead turned to killing humans. Later, they even began indiscriminate attacks. Many innocent humans died at their hands. It was senseless slaughter. However, whenever this happened, a savior would appear. That person was Victor Zong. He established a guild centered in H City to help protect and heal humans, what's now called the Purification Guild. H City, because of his presence, became the safe haven all refugees wanted to reach. But to me, things aren't like this at all. Actually, all of this was orchestrated by the White Rose Group. It was the terrorist incident at Exit 11 of Kangnan Station. Hunter Victor Zhang had been tracking them for a long time, but the White Rose Group isn't actually a terrorist organization. This terrorist incident wasn't their doing either. It was all Victor Zhang's self-directed performance. If I expose Victor Zhang now and stand against him, he'll definitely frame me as a villain. When that happens, I'll definitely be condemned by everyone. That's exactly why I asked Sophia to inquire about mercenary groups. After all guilds are influenced by that guy. So right now, I need to find a suitable mercenary group to work with. Soon, a woman approaches me. Her name is Diana Lee, and she's the group leader here. Since I don't want to reveal my real name, I make one up. Hello, I'm Jung Sung Kui. The leader heard from Sophia, and she happens to have some commission information that I can try first. My voice instantly turns cold. I want high reward commissions. You can give me high difficulty ones directly. However, this is rejected by the leader. You're only a level 10 hunter right now. You can't handle such high level tasks. I tell her not to worry about that. Although my level is low, I absolutely have the ability to take on this task. Hearing this, leader Diana laughs heartily. You're really too arrogant, kid. She wipes tears from her eyes. You really leave me speechless. Reckless bravery is just foolish courage. The next moment, her gaze becomes extremely cold, and she says in an icy voice, do you want me to collect your corpse? I think, holy, this person really deserves to be a leader. What an intimidating presence. But I remember mercenaries only judge by ability, not level. The leader's ability is Chaos Observer. She belongs to the neutral throne and has specialized abilities to distort and seal vision. Diana Lee, she's a buffer and mage with a mid to high level throne contract. In the future, she will fight against the 13 stars. So I must gain her trust here. That's why I mentioned that mercenaries only judge by ability, not level. If you only look at levels, aren't you underestimating me? The next second, the leader disperses her intimidating aura. Ideals and reality are different. Even if mercenaries don't judge by level, there still needs to be a reasonable reference range. On this point, I think she's being prejudiced. Then the leader shows a charming smile. She thinks of a good idea, to personally test my abilities. If my strength gains her approval, then she won't restrict my mission levels. Then she condenses a green orb of light in her hand. The leader only needs to confirm one thing, whether I can dodge her skill or not. If not, I should go back early. Although her words sound harsh, I know what she means. She wants to see if I have self-preservation abilities. After all, she's a character I created myself. I understand her personality. I squint and carefully examine her skill. The skill the leader releases is called Smoke Tracker. She can track enemies within a certain range with this skill. Unless someone is very fast, it will definitely catch up. Moreover, this skill is perfect for testing, because even if it hits me, it won't cause damage, but my test will immediately end. I shout to her, indicating I'm ready. You can start now. The leader laughs heartily. Then I'm going to make my move. Let me be clear, I won't go easy on you during the test. However, the next moment, the leader is stunned speechless, because at this moment, I already have my sword pressed against her neck. You've already lost, leader. I tell her to end the test because I've already passed her assessment. The leader shows a slight smile. It looks like you've definitely trained somewhere. But I tell her I haven't trained anywhere. The leader tells me to lower my sword. I've already passed the assessment. She'll assign me a level 50 commission task as agreed. Hearing this answer makes me very satisfied, and I quickly withdraw my sword. On the way back, leader Diana takes out a commission file for hunting a wanted criminal. I glance at this wanted criminal's commission file. To put it bluntly, it's actually a bounty notice. The mission listed is J City Open Type Dungeon Ownerless Ruins. Kevin Kim, level 50 Wood Elementalist. Commission content, retrieve the level 3 equipment blood of Baltharos. I only glance at this commission and ask whether to bring him back alive. However, the leader's cold voice slowly responds, you can choose to kill him. He massacres innocents. He's utterly evil. I grin. Isn't that exactly what I want? So that very night, I prepare to act alone. The leader told me before that he should be hiding in some corner, and finding him won't be easy, because this area is very large. Any random spot could hide a person. However, I can make this my first step into the dungeon. In the novel, this was Marcus Chen's hiding place, so I'm very familiar with this area. And there's a useful ultimate boss here. At this time, 3 white rabbits appear behind me. When I notice them arriving, I immediately cut my palm. The rabbits immediately enter a berserk state upon seeing blood. Each rabbit becomes abnormally powerful, as if they've taken stimulants. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The rabbits rapidly charge toward me. As they're about to reach me, I quickly use lateral movement, then use short distance leap to directly kill them. Like this, I continuously use lateral movement, then use short distance leap to directly kill the rabbits. After repeating this a dozen times, all the rabbits here have been slain by me. Soon, a masked figure in black appears behind me, holding dual blades. He's the useful boss I mentioned earlier, finally appearing after waiting so long. I chuckle and greet him. Hello there, Ventus. I see an interface window above Ventus's head showing plunderable target. Ventus boasts that he wants to kill me. I tell him not to be a hero with words. Let strength do the talking. With a whoosh, Ventus instantly vanishes from his original position. His speed is so fast it's invisible to the naked eye. Also, Ventus's aura is terrifying, with red magic power wrapping around his weapons and entire body. Seeing him rapidly approaching me, I hurry to retreat. I must maintain distance from him. But just then, something strange happens. Ventus's figures multiply, going from 1 to 4. Ventus leaps up and appears above my head. If his blade hits my head, I'm definitely dead. But unfortunately for him, I use lateral movement the instant his blade falls. I use lateral movement while thinking about how to fight. I immediately activate Eye of Insight to observe his magic fluctuations. Then I'm amazed to discover that the other 3 are almost just afterimages created by magic power. Only the red figure on the right is his real body. I immediately use short distance leap, appearing before him in a blink and steadily stabbing my blade into his body. This boss looks completely incredulous, but he still endures the pain and immediately swings his blade. Unfortunately, I see through it all and quickly use lateral movement to get behind him. My eyes lock onto Ventus. Facing this guy, I don't dare be careless. After all, he's the ultimate boss, and I don't want a direct confrontation. My left foot kicks hard, striking his left leg directly. With a thud, Ventus's legs give out, and he drops to his knees. I immediately draw my sword from my waist and press it against its neck. I've already spotted it. The S-point on its shoulder is its weak spot. With a sharp thrust, I drive my sword deep into its shoulder. At this moment, Ventus is finally defeated by me in overwhelming victory. After I kill it, its body gradually dissolves into nothingness. The system notifies me that I've successfully seized its phantom technique skill. This brings a satisfied smile to my face. The more skills I have, the better. After killing the boss, an item appears behind me. As I pick up the solace grass, I'm being watched by a team in the distance. One of them says, "Isn't that stuff hard to get? He just grabbed two so easily." Their leader is Marcus Thompson, ranked 3rd in the Wushan Guard. The woman beside him blushes and says, "I've seen that guy at the market. Turns out when I was buying materials at the market earlier, she happened to see me. She had a deep impression of me because I was the most handsome guy in the market." This puzzles the boss. This guy's clearly a stranger, but judging from that fight, he seems like a veteran assassin. But this suits the boss just fine. If he were too weak, it would be easy to break him. I hope he doesn't flake out. My level has risen to 16. Once I reach level 20, I'll be able to obtain a basic skill. I restore my stamina while adding all ability points to my stamina stat. Since I only need to control my innate magic allergy, I don't need extra magic points, so I'll focus on stamina for now. The solace grass in my hand can effectively suppress my magic allergy when it flares up. This herb is usually hard to find in dungeons, and since it grows naturally, mass production is difficult. Only one person in the country knows how to cultivate it, but that person is at Ground Zero. That place is called the Quarantine Zone, very far from here. I need to prepare thoroughly and buy as much as possible when I get there. If my magic allergy limits my movement during combat, I'll be easily killed by enemies. This is my greatest weakness, but it's all my fault. After all, I created this character myself and gave him such a troublesome negative trait, so now I need more money to buy more solace grass. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Captain Lee is driving and cursing loudly. She's cursing because the call quality is terrible. Communications were fine just a year ago. The voice on the other end calms her down. There's constant signal interference, and the captain's area happens to be Eclipse and Black Lion territory, so interference is worse. At this moment, a black car head is monitoring Captain Lee. The captain's eyes instantly sharpen. There really are a lot of people watching her lately. So the captain floors the gas pedal, then quickly turns the steering wheel. She needs to get out of here fast. A slick drift maneuver instantly leaves them behind. Those cargo containers now block the vehicle's path. They can't get through. The voice on the phone asks her to recommend some talent. They're busy and short-handed over there. The captain chuckles at this. "You've really got me stumped there. Do I have anyone who'd meet your standards, Mr. Victor Zhang?" Victor Zhang looks at the list in his hand. True, they wouldn't have met my standards before, but I've lowered them now. I plan to accept low-level hunters and train them properly from scratch. This statement stuns the captain. If that's the case, there's one person she can recommend. This delights Victor Zhang. If that's the case, that would be wonderful, because the talent the captain has recommended so far has never made mistakes. It's just unfortunate they were lost to accidents. Hearing this, the captain's expression darkens instantly. She doesn't know why, but every talented person she's recommended has died in accidents. The captain sighs and comforts Victor Zhang not to worry too much about it, and as for the talent she mentioned, they'll observe him for a while before making contact. Upon hearing this, Victor Zhang chuckles. "I really appreciate it. As a return favor, I'll send you some intelligence. I've just obtained inside information on several criminal organizations." Then he turns to look inside the room, where someone is bound and kneeling on the ground. This person is the talent the captain had recommended to him, but now his face is full of terror. With a demonic expression, Victor Zhang says he'll definitely let the recommended talent enjoy the highest treatment here. After hanging up, and barely noticeable blush appears on the captain's face, but she feels it's a bit too much. After all, this is the first mission she's giving him, so she can't have such high expectations. Meanwhile, on the other side, I'm grinding monsters like crazy in the dungeon. With a sharp sound, I drive my dagger directly into the monster's body. As my blade pierces the monster's leg, I immediately keep my distance and quickly retreat. The monster looks incredulous. It didn't even notice how the blade got in. This triggers its berserk state, blood claws forming on its hands. When I look up again, I see a claw suddenly striking toward me. For an instant, the world seems to darken. The monster has locked its targeting system on my body, but it never expected my body to become transparent. The bloody claw passes right through me. Seeing this, the monster is shocked. Then it clenches its palm and grabs debris from the ground to hurl at me. I immediately use lateral movement and stack a layer of phantom technique. This monster's skills are quite powerful. It can grab skill weaknesses, but unfortunately its windup is too long and exposes major openings, so I exploit this weakness directly. With a thunderous crash, the monster hurls a massive boulder at me. I stomp heavily and brake hard. Then I keep moving forward, trying to dodge this attack. With another thunderous sound, countless boulders come crashing toward me. My body is now pinned under the boulders, but strangely, my body disappears again. Seeing this, the monster can no longer contain its bewilderment. It has no idea what's happening. So while it's stunned, I use lateral movement to get behind it. I immediately summon my sword strike while it's down. With a thrust, my sword pierces through its back and out its belly. Don't think I'll go easy on you just because you're a female monster. That's impossible. After killing the monster, I quickly pull out my sword as crimson blood splatters everywhere. The system notifies me, "Congratulations on defeating the boss. Your level has increased." Just like before, I add all ability points to stamina. This way I can save some solace grass. Then I also seize this boss's ability. It's a grab skill that can summon targets within a specific range to my position. Then I look at the dagger on the ground, wanting to test this skill. I clench my palm hard and use the grab skill on the dagger on the ground. A targeting frame locks onto the dagger on the ground. The next moment, a magical arm reaches for the dagger and grabs it firmly. Just as I expected, this skill can really grab anything. If I practice this skill properly, I should be able to eliminate the wind-up motion. With swift sounds, I rapidly thrust and swing, improving my dagger proficiency. However, all of this is being watched by people behind me. The more they watch, the more alarmed they become. This guy has serious momentum. He's clearly an assassin but feels as terrifying as a melee fighter, and he took down the boss solo without a tank. The two beside him ask their boss if they should go teach that guy a lesson. This startles the boss. He's not confident he can beat me and doesn't dare act rashly. Then he turns and shouts angrily at his two companions. "You two are so loud. Didn't I say it's best to wait until he's exhausted before fighting?" Meanwhile, on top of an abandoned building, a man is tearing at beef jerky in his hands. The man eats the jerky while reading a letter in his hand. This letter is from Black Lion. They've agreed to the man's application to join, but there is one condition: he must provide inside information on Diana Lee's Blue Eye mercenary group. The man chuckles and casually tosses away the jerky. Several corpses lie beneath him. He's definitely willing to accept Black Lion's condition, since Captain Lee is desperately trying to catch him. Initially, he wanted to join the Eclipse faction, but later discovered Black Lion seemed pretty good too. Plus, he can finally visit Dacian again. It's been a long time since he's been there. But at this moment, he suddenly shivers. At the same time, my figure arrives at the bottom of the building. I can sense it now. The person I'm looking for is up there. The man grins. How interesting. Another guy he can rob. He taps the wall behind him, signaling his children to come out. The next moment, 3 vicious wolves appear before him. These wolves are incredibly fast, racing down the wall. But I'm not panicked at all, just 3 wolves. I quickly pull out a bag of dog food. I bet they can't resist this. Soon, the 3 wolves are eating heartily in front of me like adorable huskies. Kevin Kim is utterly shocked. What's going on? Ordinary meat couldn't make them this excited. While the 3 wolves happily eat, I draw my sword. With a thrust, while the wolf is still eating, I drive my sword directly into its brain. 3 death cries mean I've killed all 3 wolves. Kevin Kim curses under his breath. Lunatic. The reason these 3 wolves ate so eagerly is because I prepared their favorite irresistible food in advance. Who would have thought these bloodthirsty wolves would die over a piece of meat? It's absolutely ridiculous. I look coldly at Kevin Kim. I'm warning you once, if you want to live, hand over what you stole immediately. This makes Kevin Kim shudder. That damn Diana Lee actually found someone this powerful to kill him. But Kevin Kim isn't easily intimidated. He shouts, "If you think you have the ability to take it, then come and try." What the hell? I'm not going to coddle him. Since you said that, I'll grant your wish. With a sword step, I charge into the building. Seeing this, Kevin Kim shows a triumphant smile. Young people are indeed young people. They can't handle provocation. He looks down below, though this guy came prepared. He doesn't seem too bright. What idiot charges around in enemy territory? He's planted many bombs down there. Step on even one, and he'll definitely be blown to pieces, no doubt about it. But he's seriously underestimating me. I immediately activate magic tracking. In my pupils, the world divides into only 3 colors. These 3 colors are red, green, and blue. The red represents dangerous magic. I lightly tap my foot on the ground. I leap up and jump over all the traps. This startles Kevin Kim. Something's off about this kid. With swift sounds, I rapidly move along the walls, soon approaching Kevin Kim's position. Kevin Kim watches me from above in disbelief. He actually avoided all the magic traps. How did this guy do it? Fear makes him panic. He can only shout to maintain what little momentum he has left. When I look up, what I see makes me pause. I see displayed above this guy's head, Evil Sacred Works Chaos Enforcer, highly effective ability to make enemies lose direction and vision. Kevin Kim laughs maniacally. I'm an honored person favored by the sacred work. Go die. I'll show you black magic from hell. As soon as he finishes speaking, several attacks from his hands fly toward me. My figure moves like lightning, directly using lateral movement skill. Then I combine jump skill with lateral movement to reach Kevin Kim's position. This guy is around level 50. His ability is sensory deprivation. Profession is black mage. I quickly chase after him, looking at him like this. I can tell what he wants to do. Actually, Kevin Kim is quite clever, luring me inside. A triumphant smile appears on his lips. Now you definitely can't escape. Then a black mist emanates from his body. This is his ability, vision deprivation. Though all this is within my expectations, it's still somewhat surprising. My steps don't stop. Though this move is powerful, I know how to defend against it. As I quickly approach the black mist, I immediately hold my sword horizontally in front of my eyes. This simple action looks anything but simple to Kevin Kim. Why do you know the only defense method? I see black mist filling the space, but I seem to ignore the black mist and can still pinpoint Kevin Kim's location. After all, this is an ability I created. Of course I know best how to counter it. At the same time, I lock the grab skill onto Kevin Kim. Before he can react, I instantly release magic to control his body. This shocks Kevin Kim. Isn't this a monster skill? Why do you have it? Then I pull with my palm, dragging him from a distance directly to me. Kevin Kim is surprised. Why doesn't this skill have a wind-up motion? With a thrust, my sword pierces steadily into his chest. The reason there's no wind-up is because I eliminated the wind-up motion. But Kevin Kim is still a level 50 black mage. He has strength left to counterattack. With a thunderous boom, a massive explosion echoes through the entire ruined building. I quickly retreat, cursing him as a lunatic. He's even blowing himself up. Then balls of flame chase after me. Kevin Kim wants to burn me alive. I feel his attack speed is abnormally fast. Could he have used equipment to awaken his skills? So I leap up and start jumping upward. Kevin Kim looks up. You mouse-like guy scurrying around everywhere is so annoying. The next moment he extends his palm. Go die. With a thunderous sound, the explosion hits my body directly. Soon my body falls from high altitude. Seeing this, Kevin Kim shows a maniacal smile. You worthless fool, this is what you get for provoking me. But at this moment, footsteps appear behind him. He looks closely and sees several versions of me below. This is my phantom technique skill. skill. What he hit was just a phantom. Kevin Kim completely loses it. I'm driving him crazy. Why can't this guy be killed? With that, his aura grows stronger. He raises both hands to use True Flame Ground Strike. This is his most powerful killing skill. Kevin Kim is certain this move will definitely kill me. Bang bang bang, massive explosions detonate in front of me. Yet my ghostly figure perfectly dodges all the explosions. Now Kevin Kim completely loses his composure. What tricks are you playing? Why can you see through all my attack directions? However, after he finishes speaking, his eyes widen. Because I use lateral movement to get directly behind him and stab him right in a vital spot. My arm moves rapidly, causing his blood to spray everywhere. I believe, even if he's strong, he'll die from blood loss. Kevin Kim looks incredulous. Where did you get the nerve to deceive me? I chuckle. I thought you were a bit dumb, so I figured you'd definitely fall for it. At this moment, a voice reaches my ears, praising this as excellent tactics. This startles me, and I turn to look at the interface window behind me. The Throne Mobile Combat Master appreciates my attack strategy and consumes a little sacred power to grant me minor buffs. My experience increases by 0.1%. I didn't expect this battle would earn me assistance from a throne. Actually, this world has countless thrones watching hunters, but they rarely provide assistance, because each assistance consumes their sacred power. At the same time, a message from the Dimensional Predator appears before me. The Dimensional Predator says this is insignificant aid from a low-level constellation. Even my status as Contract Master has been lowered. Reading this makes me grin. Are you jealous? Don't worry, I'll show you that choosing me was the right decision, but I'm going to plunder every ability I can take. The Dimensional Predator calls me a lunatic and tells me to focus on the prey in front of me. I slowly walk toward Kevin Kim step by step. Each step makes his heart tremble. I suddenly crouch down and stab his thigh. Kevin Kim turns and curses at me. You cruel bastard lunatic. What can killing one person change? Why don't you let me go? My eyes reveal fierceness. Let you go. That's impossible. Don't talk nonsense. With a swift strike, I slice Kevin Kim's head in half. The system notifies me that I've eliminated the target and successfully seized the contract between Chaos Enforcer and myself. From now on, Chaos Enforcer belongs to the Dimensional Predator. It cannot break free unless the throne disappears or the contract is dissolved, and all of Chaos Enforcer's abilities belong to me. After dealing with Kevin Kim, I sheath my sword and look at the information on the panel. I discover 2 new skills below, Vision Deprivation and Brief Stun. Both skills are excellent, and combined they're unbeatable. Then I pick up Kevin Kim's corpse, preparing to strip all his equipment. With a whoosh, I discard all the useless items. Then I obtain body armor, boots, gloves, and other equipment. I didn't expect a level 50 hunter to have so much hard to get equipment. I really struck it rich. I slowly open my hand and find these gloves can bind my magic threads and short lines together. Besides that, there's the armor I'm wearing. This significantly boosts my defense. Most importantly, the talisman in my hand. This is an evil god's charm that reaches awakened state by consuming 1 magic point, reducing skill cooldown time. These are perfect buff equipment for me. Since I have the commissioned item, I'll sell all the level 9 equipment. Should make good money. I'm now level 19. I want to reach level 20 on the way back. Thinking of this fills me with joy. In just a little while, I'll gain the best survival skill for assassins. But after walking around, I discover all the monsters have disappeared. This area is clearly where thornpaw rabbits frequently appear. Why can't I see a single trace now? So I keep walking forward, trying to find some monsters to hunt. Little do I know, my movements are being clearly observed through binoculars from above. The man gives a cold laugh. Now is the perfect time to deal with him. The next moment, his heavy footsteps land behind me. Then without pause, he raises his massive sword with both arms and swings at me. With a clang, the sword falls and debris flies, but my figure isn't there, because the instant his sword fell, I used short distance jump. In just a blink, I left that spot. The berserker in front shows a mocking smile. Didn't expect your reaction speed to be so fast. If I'd been even slightly slower, he would have chopped off my head. The berserker keeps attacking me. He also uses charge skills. Each of his strikes is heavy and powerful, but when his old move ends and the new one hasn't started, I jump to his front. With a slash, my dagger cuts his left rib. Then I dash away from the spot quickly. I just used Bloodthorn skill. After 10 consecutive attacks, it limits recovery ability. I need more combo hits. However, I hear words that make me furious. The berserker is incredibly arrogant. You call that an attack? Pathetically weak. His 2 subordinates are overjoyed. Looks like boss has the upper hand. Berserker class gets stronger in late game. The berserker swings his blade horizontally, the great sword aimed right at my neck, but I cleverly dodge that strike. Still, it startles me. This berserker's attack power is indeed strong, but his openings are numerous too. I thrust again, using Bloodthorn skill to wound his right rib. After each attack, I leave immediately, never giving him a chance for close combat. The berserker laughs loudly. Your petty tricks are just tickling me. Looking at his arrogant manner, I sneer inwardly. 4 more stabs and you'll know my power. With that, I hesitate no more, preparing to strike 4 consecutive blows on the berserker. As my figure approaches him, the berserker's heart skips. He senses something unusual, because black mist appears behind me and my figure gradually blurs. This black mist is my newly acquired skill that makes opponents temporarily lose vision. In this instant, I'm like death itself, harvesting lives. The killing intent in my eyes seems almost tangible. The berserker's eyes are covered with black mist. He can't see where I am at all. What surprises him more is I also use brief stun, causing his brain to freeze. These 2 abilities combined are absolutely deadly. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. My arm thrusts forward continuously, stabbing the berserker 7 times. Though each stab isn't fatal, they definitely hurt him badly. The continuous combat infuriates the berserker. I'm scurrying around like a mouse. Though hit, the damage isn't powerful enough, so the berserker can still hold on. After achieving my goal, I immediately use lateral movement to get get behind him. The berserker's eyes are nearly bloodshot. "You little mouse finally appeared. I bet you're running out of tricks." But the next moment, irresistible pain floods his mind and entire body. Worse, his recovery ability can't be used now. His whole body feels stripped, unable to use strength. The two subordinates worry seeing their boss like this. "What's wrong with boss? Is there something wrong with his body?" The berserker gnashes his teeth in rage. Then his aura suddenly surges as he prepares to end this fight with one final strike. But he doesn't expect a large hand to grab his abdomen. The berserker looks down in disbelief, completely unable to understand why this hand appeared here. His thoughts end there as my dagger comes straight for him. With a thrust, my dagger pierces directly through his heart. Everything happens too fast for him to react. My eyes stare at the berserker intensely. Even if you're a berserker class, you're still human. Lose too much blood and you'll definitely die. The berserker's body crashes heavily to the ground. I didn't expect a berserker to appear and give me experience and equipment. Quite a pleasant surprise. Seeing their boss killed, the two subordinates immediately turn and run. This man is clearly no ordinary person. I don't chase them. In my eyes, they're just pitiful NPCs. Most important is this berserker in front of me. I need to loot his equipment first. The interface notifies me that I've eliminated the target and successfully seized the contract with Blood Glutton. This excites me immensely. The taste of Blood Glutton is absolutely fantastic. This is the second time today I've gained 4 skills. I shout at the sky, "I've worked so hard, you should give me some assistance." However, the predator just sends back a lunatic and goes silent. This makes me smile wryly. "You're really stingy." Then the throne sends information. The more blood lost, the higher the immunity to mental attacks. This is Blood Glutton's ability. I check the berserker's equipment and find it's all useful to me. There's a precious anti-magic ankle bracelet and shoes that increase movement speed, and stamina enhancement gloves. Perfect timing. My stamina needs strengthening. Plus, these gloves can be used for throwing things. After organizing everything, I head back to report. At Dacian now, it's already midnight when I return. When Captain Lee sees what I brought her, she's incredibly surprised. She didn't expect me to actually follow through, and to get the shoes of Baltharos so easily. "Thank you so much, Mr. Senkui." I tell her not to be so polite, and to quickly assign me the next mission. Captain Lee chuckles. "Actually, the first mission is to test the contractor. More than half get eliminated at this stage." Her words make me break out in a cold sweat. She means 50% of people die, right? But this is fairly normal. Captain Lee's high-level commissions have high success rates, probably because she's level-headed and good at calculating. Then the captain hands me intelligence. According to our agreement, she'll provide me access to dungeons with many ultimate bosses. It's Storm Hills, located in Japing, with 4 ultimate bosses and 1 main boss. I take the materials and read them carefully. I'm very satisfied with this intelligence. A smile appears on my lips. This place is a dungeon hiding 6 plunder skills, so I gladly accept this mission and ask her to book me daytime entry for the raid. Then, with a wave of my hand, I pour out several pieces of equipment from my space bag and ask her to convert them all to cash. This stuns the captain. Kevin Kim really did steal quite a lot. She'll give me a good price. Next is the key part. This concerns my next commission. I casually point among several commission tasks and choose the middle one. It's a wanted commission from the Security Bureau. This commission is to capture a criminal who stole public property and committed armed robbery. The reward is 300 million yuan. The captain examines the commission carefully and finds a problem. This person hasn't appeared since being spotted near Yangping Station, so finding him will be troublesome. I tell the captain not to worry. I have ways to find him. Just wait for good news. In the evening, I make a phone call. I made 200 million from selling useless equipment earlier, so I plan to buy some life-saving items first. After 2 rings, the phone connects, and the person asks who I am. As the novel's author, I naturally know the code words. After exchanging passwords, I ask him to prepare 10 solace grass plants at Longshan Station. The elder on the phone readily agrees and will arrange it immediately. After hanging up, I check the time. There's still plenty of time before the dungeon raid, so I'll gather intelligence first. So I go to a nearby coffee shop. But as soon as I enter, a fight breaks out. The man in front of me gets slashed in the neck by his opponent's sword and shows a shocked expression. Strangely enough, after he collapses, the crowd around him erupts in cheers. Turns out they're running arena fights, a so-called combat gambling ring. I walk up to the bar and pull out 5 large bills, ordering an explosive solace grass cocktail. This surprises bartender Benny. She never expected anyone to order such a drink. Talk about unique taste. I figure bartenders in places like this usually come in handy. They pick up all sorts of intel from conversations and gossip. I instinctively turn to scan the room around me. What I see next shocks me to the core. There, right in front of me, stands a short-haired woman. The dark, menacing aura surrounding her is terrifying enough. But what truly catches me off guard is seeing her here at all. This woman is Chase Williams, subordinate to Eclipse executive Jordan Kane, known as the Hound. My heart starts racing uncontrollably. Could she be here tracking me? At this moment, bartender Benny feels a bit sorry, such a handsome guy, but this is the last time she'll see him. What a shame. I'm confused. If you want to see me, I can come every day. But why say this is the last time? Benny leans close to my ear and whispers that she heard recently. This bar seems to be on Eclipse's radar. They plan to pick some hunters from this bar and send them to the mines. It's one of Eclipse's typical human trafficking methods. After hearing her words, I instantly understand why Chase Williams is here. I glance at her. Looks like I won't be able to drink here. I need to leave quickly, so I quickly get up, wanting to escape this dangerous place immediately. There's a loud crash, and both the bartender and I look toward the entrance at the same time. I curse under my breath. Damn it, now I'm really in trouble. Several fully armed men appear at the entrance, carrying axes in their hands. The moment they enter the bar, they grab everyone's attention. From their uniforms, some people already guess they're Eclipse members. The leader orders his subordinates to keep them alive. Otherwise, they won't have anyone to do hard labor. The next second, 4 or 5 men charge into the crowd, their faces showing mocking breathtaking expressions. In their eyes, these hunters are nothing but lambs for slaughter. Soon, one man turns pale with shock as a large hand grips his shoulder like a steel clamp. He can't move an inch. With a thud, the man delivers a punch straight to the hunter's stomach. Meanwhile, on the other side, someone else is already standing over another bar hunter. However, at this moment, the captain's gaze hardens as he stares ahead in disbelief. He never expected to see some hothead standing right in front of him. Doesn't this guy know what's happening? He shows no mercy. A reckless fool like this would be useless to eclipse anyway. Might as well kill him directly. But before his attack can land, his own teammate's blade cuts across his neck. I use lateral movement to get behind the person who is behind me. With a slicing sound, my blade cuts across his neck, ending his life instantly. That single move just claimed 2 lives. You could call it a double kill with 1 strike. Chase Williams, not far away, witnesses this entire scene. Chase Williams breaks into a maniacal grin. Never expected to find such a dangerous character here. Now things are getting interesting. She quickly rises on her toes and leaps forward. This brings a look of shock to my face. Fighting this person right now, I don't think I have a guaranteed win. Chase Williams quickly draws a short blade from her leg and swings it toward me. I quickly use lateral movement to dodge the attack, and her blade pierces the heart of the person behind me. Chase Williams doesn't slow down, appearing in front of her teammate in the blink of an eye. She then quickly pulls out the small knife from his shoulder. With a confused expression on his face, she kicks him hard, sending him crashing into the wall. I stare intently at the woman in front of me, unsure what she's plotting. She turns to me with a smile. Though you're a new face, you're really eye-catching. Which guild are you from exactly? I tell her I haven't joined any guild because I prefer working alone and don't want to be tied down to one place. Hearing this, Chase Williams shows a satisfied expression. That's perfect then. How about we discuss some business? Then she looks at the Eclipse members in front of us. But first, we need to get out of here. Everyone is caught completely off guard by this scene. Has the strategy changed? Why is the investigator attacking us? Chase Williams stares at them and mouths something silently. The lip reading signals them to quickly attack both of us. Her teammates show expressions of shock after reading her lips, but they don't hesitate much. After all, they must obey the investigator's orders, so they all rush forward together. However, to me, this is just terrible acting. So this was all a setup. It seems this woman wants to test my abilities. I break into a grin. Since you want to play, I'll go along with your little game. With a whoosh, before anyone can react, I quickly throw my short sword. The Eclipse members across from me turn pale with shock. The blade is incredibly fast, but they quickly recover. Since you threw away your blade, you're weaponless now, so they signal everyone to attack me. But the next second, something unexpected happens. I slowly raise my arm. The sword that just pierced their teammate instantly flies back out. Then it flies steadily back into my hand. Taking advantage of this moment, I quickly slash at one of them. In just the blink of an eye, I kill another person. The scene leaves even Chase Williams stunned. If she saw correctly just now, that should have been telekinesis. I chuckle and point to the emergency exit behind us. Let's get out of here quickly through there. Then I don't bother with her anymore and turn to escape immediately. Staying with them is just too dangerous. At this moment, Chase Williams lightly taps the microphone in her ear. Her fingers move rapidly, seemingly tapping Morse code, signaling her team not to act rashly as she tries to recruit me. So we quickly leave through the passage behind us, and those pursuers are just putting on a show. Chase Williams becomes interested in me. You must be an assassin, but how can you use magic? I chuckle, feeling like she's being foolish. How could I possibly use magic? That move was entirely my glove's function. This glove can link up perfectly with my short sword, but I don't explain it to her. Let her think whatever she wants. I'm not planning to reveal my identity anyway. With a bang, I kick the door open. Looking back, 3 enemies have actually caught up. Facing their attacks, I can easily dodge them. Then I quickly swing my sword and end his life. A heavy elbow strike hits the back of his head. With their level of skill, they can't harm me at all. Just as I'm about to continue attacking, an interface window appears in front of me. The Apostle of Justice is deeply moved by my actions, stopping hypocrisy and evil deeds, consuming holy power to grant me a beneficial effect. Experience increased by 0.1%. I chuckle. Thanks for the assistance, but does justice really exist? At the same time, another man wielding dual blades appears in front of me. His speed is lightning fast. Predicting I'm about to enter his attack range, he immediately crosses his dual blades in a horizontal slash. But this simple attack doesn't catch my attention at all, let alone harm me. However, before I can make my move, a short blade pierces that man's head. I instinctively turn to look. Unexpectedly, the one who struck was Chase Williams. It seems she shows no mercy even to her own people, but I couldn't care less about this. As long as she doesn't mind, she can kill whoever she wants. They're not my people anyway. 3 more people appear in front of me. I plan to use these 3 villains' lives to thank the Justice Throne for its assistance. I leap up and land above one of them. The person below looks completely dazed. I immediately use my jumping skill to seal all 3 throats with 1 sword strike. I'd like to see how this Apostle of Justice judges evil and righteousness. When I follow the novel's plot and become an evil person, I really look forward to seeing its expression. With a soft thud, I land steadily on the ground. At this moment, Chase Williams has also eliminated all the subordinates who pursued us. I quickly kick open the rooftop door, gesturing to Chase Williams whether she wants to come with me. Chase Williams shows a satisfied smile. She really didn't misjudge. This man in front of her is worth all this effort. After a while, we find a place to hide. Below, the Eclipse members are still pretending to search. Their terrible acting makes me can't help but laugh. As expected, after 2.5 minutes, they all leave the area. Chase Williams turns to me with a smile. Are you interested in working somewhere freer than guilds? Then she hands me a card. The payment will definitely satisfy you. A blush that shouldn't be there appears on her face. I quickly take the card and prepare to leave, saying, I'll contact you immediately after I finish handling my business. Chase Williams watches my departing figure. Feeling her goal will soon be achieved. This is definitely a strong and reliable teammate. Then she slowly turns around with her long strides. At this moment, her boss calls, asking her to help investigate someone. Chase Williams looks ahead in the distance. She's already dealt with the second batch of hunters on her end. She confidently tells her boss, "Just investigating someone, nothing difficult about that, just tell me the name." Then she gets the man's information. His name is Marcus Chen. Right now, I don't know Eclipse is targeting me, but even if they are, I'm not afraid. My strength is growing rapidly now. I'll kill whoever comes, one or two at a time. However, Chase Williams never imagined that the person she wanted to recruit today is exactly the Marcus Chen her boss is looking for. The next day at the train station, I spent a night in Daishin and didn't hear any wanted notices. Seems they haven't focused on me yet, but just to be safe, I still left Daishin early. I don't want to conflict with them at this time. I got off the train at Longshan Station, then took a bus to the next stop. Soon I arrive at the delivery address. I waited 2 days and finally got the solace grass I'd been longing for. In the novel's world, I know Marcus Chen often receives solace grass multiple times in hidden spaces near stations. Fortunately, I wrote this channel for him before. Suddenly, I hear an excited man's voice. How could there be such an easy job? Looking over, he's sneakily taking a phone call. When he sees me looking, he immediately yells, "You bastard! What are you staring at? Get the hell out if you don't want to die." Then he continues his sneaky phone call. This leaves me speechless. "If you dare say another word, you'll meet your maker." In H City, the city is basically ruled by the Purification Guild. Using resident safety as an excuse, they cleverly monopolize dungeon exploration rights. But that's also the only area where the Security Bureau can function. That's why such a large mall can operate normally. Otherwise, the mall couldn't possibly be this large. And prices in this area are ridiculously expensive. Fortunately, mall prices are only 1.5 times those of other areas, still affordable. I casually pick up a short sword. This one boosts my strength. I should replace that practice sword. The next moment, a hard stone suddenly appears in my hand. I apply light pressure with my palm, and veins immediately bulge on my hand. With a crack, I effortlessly crush the stone in my hand. This feels great. I never expected this short sword's boost to be so high. Really worth the price. Besides that, there's another boost, Sky's Joy. Maintaining non-combat state for over 30 minutes doubles stamina recovery speed. This boost suits me perfectly, though I don't need to worry about magic power like other hunters. To make good use of my innate magic allergy, maintaining stamina is essential. When I leave the building, I'm carrying that sharp sword. I paid a hefty price for it. At this moment, a family of 3 appears in front of me. The child wants to eat fried chicken. His mother naturally agrees to this small request. This is H City after all. The Security Bureau and Purification Guild will definitely protect them. They can walk the streets safely. I chuckle. This family is way too naive, actually believing the Security Bureau and Purification Guild. If they truly understood, they discover these people are ruthless characters who devour without leaving bones. Just as I think this, I hear screams from behind me. A masked man in black not only beats the father but also kidnaps his child. The father keeps begging the man to spare his child. The man shows a wicked smile. "If you want to beg me, you need to show some sincerity." People in the crowd immediately panic. Someone contact the Security Bureau. This is too bold, causing trouble in broad daylight in the city center. I grip my short sword tightly. Looks like I need to act. Subdue them first, then let the Security Bureau handle the rest. That works. Let me show them some sincerity. However, before I can make my move, I stare in shock at the figure ahead. There, in front of me, a handsome figure slowly walks toward the masked man in black. This is Cole Harrison from the Purification Guild. He ranks in the top 10 within the guild. He inherited the power of evil sacred work called Magic Combat Ghost, with specialized abilities to enhance swordsmanship in separate space. I never expected to encounter Victor Zhang's companion here. He's absolutely the type who wouldn't interfere in such matters. Why is he helping? The man directly throws out a black card. His expression incredibly calm. The masked man takes the card with a confused expression. "What's this card for?" Cole Harrison chuckles. "You're doing this just for money. No matter how much you want, you can withdraw it from this card, but only if you release the child." The black boss nods to his subordinate, signaling to release the child. Then he pushes hard forward, throwing the child to Cole Harrison. After catching the child, they immediately flee backward. However, Cole Harrison just calmly watches their escape direction. His palm slowly touches the ground, but the next instant, he vanishes directly from where he stood, too fast for anyone to see clearly. Even I can only vaguely see some after images. This guy is definitely not to be underestimated. When his figure becomes clear again, he's already in front of the 2 men in black, radiating dark magic power. Then a black circle spreads out with his feet as the center. Soon, this black flame envelops everyone. The 2 men are extremely shocked. They were just out doing part-time work. How did they provoke such a powerful guy? The 2 men in black can't escape now because they're trapped within a black barrier. In this instant, Cole Harrison's figure moves, followed by his sword slash. With one sword strike, that person's body is cut in half at the waist. Before dying, one of the men's face is revealed. I remember this guy. He was the one making phone calls here earlier. He sneakily took a call and claimed this job was too easy. Could the work he mentioned be kidnapping children? The other person stares in disbelief at his dead companion. "I can't believe you actually killed him." Then he keeps begging Cole Harrison, "Can you spare me? I already did what you said. Didn't you say before that acting would be enough?" But to his despair, Cole Harrison seems too lazy to listen to his explanation. Meanwhile, everyone outside can't hear sounds from within the black circle. This skill must be blocking internal sounds, making it impossible for outsiders to hear. This man clearly knows that no matter how he explains, the other won't listen, so he places his hand on the sword at his waist. Before dying, he curses Cole Harrison. "You demons! I can't believe you'd do such things, using their lives to boost boost your own reputation. Unfortunately, only Cole Harrison hears his angry roar. No one else will ever know. Cole Harrison smirks contemptuously. He wouldn't even consider trash characters like this worth his attention. If you want to curse, go ahead. After killing that person, he slowly removes the black barrier. I sigh deeply. I thought someone actually dared to kidnap in broad daylight. Turns out it's all their staged performance. Never expected them to use external profits to increase residents' trust in the Purification Guild so ruthlessly and domineeringly. I snort coldly and turn to leave. Enjoy your current situation. All the opportunities you'll be allocated in the future will belong to me. Meanwhile, on the other side, a supervisor hands an escape list to Chase Williams. This is recent prison break personnel data. This is all we know. So Chase Williams casually opens the files to review them. When she sees one particular file, her finger can't help but pause, because this list shows my name and photo, along with some detailed information. After seeing my file, Chase Williams shows an excited expression. This young man looks very familiar. At the same time, I arrive at the dungeon entrance. I ask the guards ahead whether this dungeon can be entered now. The two guards look at each other. The dungeon has completed initialization and can be entered, but in their eyes, me going in would be like walking to my death, because this dungeon isn't something a level 20 hunter like me can conquer. I'm far from reaching their recommended level for dungeon entry, but if I insist on going, they won't stop me. I find this really interesting. I definitely need to go in, otherwise how will I level up quickly? If I keep dawdling like this, I might become someone else's prey. That's not what I want to see. So I set my target at level 50. This is my first goal. I tell the two guards to let me through. I'm entering the dungeon now. 2.5 hours later, I enter an area filled with yellow sand. This yellow sand makes it impossible to see the path ahead. If ordinary people came here, they'd likely get lost and never find their way back. Fortunately, when I came, I infused each footprint with magic power and used my abilities to observe so I won't lose direction. At this moment, I'm suddenly startled. There's a cliff right in front of me. If I hadn't noticed just now, I might have fallen. Even if it didn't kill me, I'd be left half crippled. What's more annoying is that some magic beasts have appeared behind me. In this yellow sand, a group of red eyes slowly appears. These are rake lizards, monsters that are quite active in this area. But I'm not afraid at all. I instantly pull out my dagger, ready for battle. If this fight goes smoothly, I should reach my goal quickly. The rake lizard lets out a roar and charges at me with claws bared. I'm going all out too. Today, I'll definitely have a satisfying battle with these rake lizards. Meanwhile, on the other side, Chase Williams is listening to intelligence from the supervisor. According to intelligence, Marcus Chen used magic power to deceive the hunters tracking him. But the supervisor thinks this must be his good luck after all. How could a level 10 evade pursuit from a level 100 hunter? But the following intelligence makes him find it incomprehensible. A level 100 hunter actually died at the hands of a level 10 hunter. Chase Williams closes the intelligence file in her hands. She roughly understands what the supervisor means. Then she tells the supervisor she already met this escaped person 2 days ago. This makes the supervisor feel regretful they didn't arrest him then, but what Chase Williams says next shocks him. She estimates I'm at least level 100. Because of this, Chase Williams is extremely angry. She burns the file in her hands. Quickly explain what this file is about. Even Marcus Chen's level information is wrong. A man solo fights a dungeon boss for the first time, but shocks everyone present because he kills the boss with just a small blade. Then fire abilities burst forth, directly burning the ultimate boss to ashes. Just now, shortly after entering the dungeon, I encountered rake lizards. I quickly throw the sharp blade in my hand. With a slicing sound, one rake lizard in front of me is instantly cut open, but I clearly hit its abdomen just now. Unexpectedly, the wound is so small. When hitting that rake lizard just now, my thread also wrapped around the weapon. Gradually, that weapon pulls out from the rake lizard's abdomen. The next moment, with one sweep of my hand, I instantly wound several rake lizards. If I killed them one by one, I might exhaust my stamina before finishing off all the rake lizards. Finally, I also wound the 2 uninjured lizards. After all the rake lizards fall to the ground, I grip the blade in my hand. I raise one finger at them. If you've got guts, come at me! Several rake lizards obviously fear me a bit, continuously making gurgling sounds on the ground. But soon, these rake lizards charge at me again. This game was created by me, so I clearly know there's something special to pay attention to when hunting monsters, whether there's damage value. If no damage value is dealt, even if the monster dies, it won't be judged as the hunter eliminating the monster. But if the hunter has already made small wounds on the monster, that's a different story. Thinking of this, I stop entangling and turn to run backward. These lizards also like to kick someone when they're down. Seeing me afraid and running, they desperately chase behind. I leap up, preparing to jump across. They make the same movement as me, but at this instant, the places I cut earlier actually expand their wounds. At the same time, I reach the ground. Turning back to look, I find all the rake lizards have fallen below the cliff. No matter how high the rake lizard's defense, falling from such a height would kill them. After they die, they become energy bodies, transforming into experience points added to me. Then lizards keep getting killed by the fall. Each lizard's death gives me considerable experience points. I chuckle. Finally leveled up. The system panel now shows a significant level increase. I've reached level 27. I chuckle. Looks like my plan succeeded. On the other side, a woman steps into the cell that once held me. She sees what I once drew in this cell. This confuses her greatly. This should be a ritual array drawn with blood, but what exactly is being summoned? At this moment, her phone suddenly rings. It's her boss calling. She tells her boss about this matter and mentions that I don't seem to be an ordinary person. She also asks the boss to send another person to help her because the previous warden was speaking incoherently. Later, in anger, she killed him. Back to my side, after the rake lizards fell into the cliff, I climb down to find their corpses, and I find the magic crystals they dropped at the bottom of this cliff. Suddenly, footsteps sound behind me. Looking up, It's actually a monster completely wrapped in flames, but I break into a grin. You finally showed up. Then I pick up the sharp blade in my hand, ready for battle. But what I don't know is that a head has actually popped out above us. From the man's attire, he should be an assassin. He's preparing to aim below with his bow. But what happens next shocks him greatly, because while he's knocking his arrow, I've already taken down that ultimate boss, and I successfully seize the opponent's fire attribute ability. Moreover, in that assassin's view, my attack technique just now was particularly skillful. Going back 10 seconds after discovering this boss, I immediately throw my short blade. Though it blocks this attack, it's still wounded. The reason is simple. I controlled the flying blade to attack it again when returning. This makes the boss extremely angry, feeling like it's been toyed with. After successfully drawing aggro, I turn and run. During this time, no matter how it attacks me, I only dodge. I don't stop until I lure it to the oasis. Dealing with this fire being takes barely any effort. The originally unconvinced assassin is now completely convinced. No wonder the leader favors him so much. He clearly has vision that low-level hunters lack. Turns out this person was sent by the leader to protect me. Though the test results were excellent, since I'm still low-level, she's somewhat worried. So she has this assassin follow me. If I encounter danger, he'll help. The leader specifically instructed him not to forget to remind me about the importance of team combat. But the result is the complete opposite. After I arrive here, there's nothing I need his help with. So he slowly gets up, preparing to continue following me. He must observe carefully. Soon, another round of battle begins. I still throw out a flying blade. With a clang, the boss across from me directly activates a shield, deflecting my dart. I immediately pull back my short blade. This boss really has tight defenses. This boss is a bit different. It's a completely new boss formed by combining 3 bosses, with front, middle, and rear positions. This kind of complementary team combat reminds me of what Leader Lee said. She told me before that conquering dungeons isn't simple. Going solo absolutely won't work. Her purpose in saying this was to invite me to join their team. This makes me grin. I don't like being tied to organizations. Though I know she means well, I still refused her. I prefer relying on myself over organizations. At this moment, I lightly jump, immediately using short-range jump to reach the boss's front. While they're still dazed, I pull out my short blade to stab them, but first I need to deal with that annoying barrier. However, what I didn't expect is that just as my attack is about to land, they suddenly switch positions. The one with stronger defense from the front comes before me. Seeing this, I don't continue entangling and immediately use lateral movement to circle behind again. This time I use lateral movement to reach the middle. Suddenly this boss feels its vision starting to blur. Not just this one, all 3 bosses feel like their vision has been stripped away. This is because I used vision deprivation skill. Then I combine it with brief stun skill. As I mentioned before, these 2 skills stacked together are invincible. Seeing my goal achieved, I immediately use short-range jump to quickly retreat. They look around but can never see each other's figures. At the same time, I also use the grapple skill. I quickly grab one of them, making that boss immediately panic. I take a quick step to reach its front. Hearing the commotion, it immediately raises its defensive barrier, but unfortunately, it forgot it's in a team. Once it raises the barrier in another direction, it gives me an opportunity. I ignore it and quickly rush toward the other 2 bosses. Now is the best time for me to deal with them. There's a huge opening in front of them. It's precisely because of this state that I don't like team cooperation. Once you encounter problems you can't solve alone, you depend on others, which would only put me in mortal danger. The boss in front is scared pale. It senses killing intent but can never see the opponent. With a slicing sound, my sword pierces its abdomen. Then a horizontal slash quickly ends its life. The system notifies me that I've eliminated 2 ultimate bosses. The last one hears the commotion and immediately charges at me, but it can no longer pose any threat. I tighten my grip on the long blade. I'll deal with you now, let you join your brothers on their journey. With one lateral movement, I reach its back. At the same time, the boss finally reacts, but it's still one step too late. My blade has already reached its front. With a slicing sound, my blade directly pierces its abdomen. These 3 bosses together might pose some threat to me, but once separated, dealing with them is no different from crushing ants. After eliminating the last ultimate boss, my level also rises to 29. I quickly pull out my long blade and begin seizing the skills from their bodies. I obtained side defense technique, rear defense technique, and front defense technique respectively. The 3 skills combine to regenerate the protective barrier skill. With a ding, the system notifies that protective barrier creates a deployable defensive barrier that can be maintained until durability is exhausted. This interests me. When skills reach max level, they become deployable types. That's pretty good. All of this is witnessed by the assassin above. The assassin never expected that I, a low-level hunter, would be far more capable than imagined. Perhaps that's exactly why I don't care about team combat. However, he thinks it's still too early to draw conclusions. Everything will have to wait until I finish the main boss to be certain. So throughout this journey, he keeps following behind me. Before me appears a towering and terrifyingly sinister boss. This boss is an extremely troublesome existence even in the assassin's eyes. Upon seeing this boss, I chuckle and greet it. We finally meet. The boss across from me is equally excited. It's been a long time since anyone came before it, and now it can finally have some fun. I raise my hand and point in its direction. My target from beginning to end has been your blood burst. Rumble, rumble, rumble. As we battle, the sky above takes on an eerie color. The ultimate boss lets out a mighty roar. With several whooshing sounds, purple flames instantly burst forth from its palms. Each flame creates a crater when it hits the ground. I can only keep dodging rapidly. Soon I use short-range jump to reach the boss's front. Without hesitation, I use short-range jump again to circle behind it, with energy replenishing herbs in my mouth. The boss is shocked. It never expected this kid to be as fast as a mouse. So the moment I descend, it soars into midair, using guardian magic. In this instant, I clearly see wind arrows swirling around the boss. This secretly startles me. It seems I won't be able to launch a sneak attack. The next moment, these wind arrows fly toward me as if equipped with tracking devices. With no choice, I can only use short-range jump repeatedly. This boss is indeed no simple opponent. It has skill barrages in front and guardian magic behind, so I think the most effective way to deal with magic is close combat. But the problem is, even getting close to it will definitely cause bleeding. And at that point, this guy only needs to snap its fingers to use its strongest skill. At that time, I'll only be killed by its bloodburst skill, with no power to resist. So I must find another way to approach it, and I cannot get injured beforehand. This boss, as I predicted, only knows those few skills. So far, I've only used jumping skills, and haven't deployed my other survival methods. So it must think I only know this jumping skill and blade techniques. Meanwhile, the assassin behind me watches this scene. He notices neither side has taken substantial damage, and never expected I would spend so much time looking for the opponent's weakness. At this moment, the assassin shows an expression of complete shock. The boss roars and raises its hand, summoning incredibly powerful purple energy above it. The boss is completely enraged. After 20 minutes of continuous battle without even touching my body, it decides to use its ultimate move. This plays right into my hands. You finally lost patience. Above me, the boss uses deep purple flame, its final trump card, and now it's time for me to reveal mine. Continuous magical cannons rain down from above, but I skillfully dodge them all. This boss is actually quite stupid. Other bosses would have come down long ago and wouldn't stay in the air. It thinks it's safe in the air, but it's actually in the most danger, because I'm now within range. I reach out and directly grab its body. Then I instantly pull its body toward me. Now we're in close combat, aren't we? Though this monster doesn't know how it ended up in front of me, it can only fight with everything it has now. I curse silently. Damn it, why does it start chanting at a time like this? With a thunderous boom, the explosion's power even startles the assassin. However, to the boss's dismay, I use lateral movement to circle behind it. Go ahead and fire your cannons all you want. No matter how many you shoot, they're meaningless if they can't hit me. But this boss shows an evil grin, because it placed a magical cannonball behind me. Soon, this cannonball approaches me as swift as the wind. Unfortunately, it still underestimated me. Isn't it a bit early to be so pleased? I raise my hand and immediately use protective barrier, instantly creating a circular shield centered on myself. In this instant, I immediately imbue my sword with firepower. With a piercing sound, I completely ignore its attack and drive the blade straight into its chest. My eyes fill with mockery as I exhale with a whoosh. The flame that just pierced the boss's chest immediately sets its body ablaze. In just 2.5 seconds, the boss is reduced to ashes. I chuckle. This fire attribute is really useful. The assassin behind me witnesses everything. He never expected someone of my level could single-handedly defeat Alyssa. He feels certain about what to report to the captain. With a ding, the system notification arrives. Bloodburst skill acquired. Getting this today means achieving my maximum goal. Then I glance behind me. It seems the person monitoring me has also left. Meanwhile, my system sends consecutive notifications. First, my level increased to 32. Second, I acquired the assassin class basic skill acceleration. Additionally, the Throne Mobile Combat Master highly praised my combat performance and provided minor buff effects. This surprises me quite a bit. I never expected additional assistance. However, my throne looks down on these trivial aids, but I never paid attention to it anyway. How could it know my thoughts? Moreover, killing the boss also dropped an item. This makes me very satisfied. This thing will definitely come in handy later. Meanwhile, outside, a group of people arrives at a dilapidated building. Chase Williams has found my address and arrived at my front door. Though the door before her is locked, she decides to burn it down directly, quick and efficient. The next moment she raises her hand, powerful flames emerging from her palm. At the same time, across from them, a man is rapidly sending messages. This is someone I hired specifically to monitor the building across from me. I'm his client. He sees Chase Williams through his peephole as they search for traces of me in my room. Her boss chuckles. Marcus Chen, I really want him to join us. These words startle Chase Williams, thinking she misheard. The boss continues, that guy acts decisively, cautious yet bold. I really like that kid. However, the boss's next words shock Chase Williams. He says, Marcus Chen's caution is a virtue you lack. If he joins my ranks, you'll have quite the competitor. Hearing this, Chase Williams is completely stunned. She never expected her boss to rate that punk so highly. Soon they discover a new clue, the rental contract. Chase Williams carefully examines the rental contract and discovers the house owner is actually a hunter, and this hunter is none other than Sophia Han, who likes me. At this moment, she's noticed I seem to be followed and keeps calling me, but can't get through. On the other side, Chase Williams and her team are quite satisfied. They feel they've caught my trail. Meanwhile, I'm still basking in the joy of easily defeating Alyssa. Though my original purpose was stealing Bloodburst, I never expected such a nice item drop. This item is a green magic stone. If sold, I could make a clean 300,000, not to mention the bleeding ring that can be enhanced. There's also a usable skill book. Though it doesn't match my class at all, there are still ways to learn it, so I should keep it. At this moment, my phone keeps buzzing in my pocket. It seems several messages arrived at once. It appears that staying away from dungeon entrances allows phone signals. However, when I see the phone's contents, I'm startled. Sophia Han, after failing to reach me by phone, sent messages saying Eclipse specifically came to investigate me and seems to be tracking me. I grin. Good thing I found out in advance. Otherwise, I'd definitely pay a heavy price later. I never expected Chase Williams to act so quickly. It seems she can't wait to meet me. Right now, the most important thing is catching Derek Sullivan first. Marcus Chen then boards the subway. But to catch Derek Sullivan and handle everything that follows, he needs to find that person first. The scene shifts to a man observing the building before him. This is the person Marcus Chen seeks, and he's also looking for Derek Derek Sullivan. His reason for seeking Derek Sullivan is that Derek Sullivan is connected to his friend and hometown. The man's superior doesn't want him involved, as this exceeds their jurisdiction, but he has reasons that compel him to investigate further. The man has already searched all of Derek Sullivan's possible hideouts. The building before him is the last one. Without hesitation, the man goes upstairs. He's racing against time. The man then starts knocking on the door. A young man opens the door and asks who he's looking for. The man asks if he knows Derek Sullivan. The young man seems displeased. He tells him only he lives here, but the man's eyes look into the room. He discovers a handgun placed inside. From your appearance, you must be a hunter. The young man realizes the other has spotted his gun. He quickly explains, I only use it for self-defense. The country is quite unstable now. Finding no target here, the man feels discouraged. Meanwhile, the door behind the man opens a crack. The young man from before peers through the gap, observing him. He then draws his gun, aiming at the man's head. The man senses something wrong and draws his sword. He immediately turns and strikes the door gap with his blade. The unprepared young man has his fingers severed by this strike. You really are a hunter, a gunner at that? You're too stupid. If you want to use self-defense as an excuse, you should remove the silencer. He then kicks the other's back. The young man is so frightened he begs for mercy repeatedly. In an instant, two long swords rest on either side of his head. If you don't want to die, tell me everything about Derek Sullivan. The young man's voice cracks with fear as he trembles. I only saw him once during a commission. He said he'd kill anyone looking for him. He couldn't hide so perfectly alone. There must be someone more terrifying behind him. The scene shifts to the man going downstairs. The person behind Derek Sullivan must be why Yang Ping was told to stop investigating. Sounds in the distance catch the man's attention. Several Seoul National Security Agency colleagues appear, walking toward the man's location. He cannot return to the security agency now, or he'll fall short at the final step. Watching people gradually approaching, the man feels at a loss. Then Marcus Chen suddenly appears, interrupting their advance. You're from the National Security Agency, right? Perfect. I need to find you guys. On that street to the right, I was robbed by a hunter. The man feels fortunate someone helped distract their attention. He then sneakily escapes from there. Marcus Chen notices and shows a meaningful smile. The man has now returned to his hideout. He unconsciously flips through an old photo album. The two had just joined the security agency then, full of confidence. Due to work, they were assigned to different cities. They promised to protect their respective cities together, but their methods of protection were completely different. The man stares at the photos, lost in thought for a long time. Then Marcus Chen suddenly appears. The man realizes the person before him is the one who just helped him escape. How did you know I was in this place? Marcus Chen doesn't answer the man's question, instead stating his name. You're Ryan Mitchell. You work at Seoul National Security Agency. The man looks shocked. Did you investigate me, or did that guy tell you to bring me back? I'm not your colleague, but I know why you're looking for Derek Sullivan, because I need to find him too. Interested in cooperating with me? I don't know you at all. Why should I cooperate with you? Do you think catching Derek Sullivan will end everything? You want this incident exposed too, right? You work at the security agency, but getting information about your friend is difficult. Don't those guys always use jurisdiction to limit you? But have you thought about why your colleagues appeared there? Hearing this, the man is startled. What exactly are you trying to say? Because someone is supporting Derek Sullivan from behind, the power of the person behind him is so great that even the security agency fears them. The man recalls what that guy just said. There really seems to be powerful people supporting him from behind. His own superior is the same way. Who exactly is that person? Marcus Chen shows a serious expression. The person supporting Derek Sullivan from behind is a core member of the Purification Guild. The man thinks this is nonsense, since he's also worked with the Purification Guild. They couldn't be that type of people. Without giving him a pleasant look, he turns to leave. But Marcus Chen tells him, I don't care if you believe me or not. As long as our goals align, that's enough. Tomorrow at 6 p.m. if you come to the plaza, you'll see him. If you think this is a trap, feel free to investigate first. In exchange, if I keep my promise, you'll have to do something with me. Meanwhile, the person tracking Marcus Chen tells Diana Lee about what happened. Diana Lee never expected Marcus Chen's abilities to be this strong. While they're still discussing Marcus Chen, they're suddenly interrupted by a sound. Chase Williams bursts in, ignoring all attempts to stop her. Holding a stack of documents, she smiles at Diana Lee. Finally found you guys. Diana Lee slowly stands up, speaking word by word. How dare you? Don't you know this is my territory? Or do you want to fight? Chase Williams looks at her calmly. Calm down. I'm not here to fight. She then hands over Marcus Chen's file. Take a good look. Doesn't this person look familiar? I think you should know him. Diana Lee looks at the documents with shock. She never expected this guy's real name to be Marcus Chen. But since Chase Williams came looking for her, it means Eclipse is interested in him. Diana Lee then denies knowing him. Hearing this, Chase Williams can't help but curse her shamelessness. I already know he took commissions from you. Diana Lee slaps her forehead hard, as if trying to remember something. Oh right, his abilities didn't meet our standards, so I rejected him. She then changes her expression. Do you understand? If you don't want to fight, get out of here with your people immediately. Good. You better not be lying, or you know the consequences. Chase Williams then leaves angrily. Diana Lee tells her subordinate to have some people follow Chase Williams. She wants to know her real-time movements. I think if that guy finds out about this, perhaps the relationship between our organization and Eclipse Guild will become even stronger. After leaving the organization, Chase Williams vents her anger on her subordinate. She simply snaps her fingers and burns the man before her to ash. Chase Williams recalls when Marcus Chen took her business card. He not only didn't contact me but also disappeared from Daishin within days. is. This means he recognized me from the beginning, even though Master still wants to recruit him. But to me, he's already an enemy. If he's going to steal Master's favor from me, I don't mind killing him. After all, people make little mistakes. I'm sure Master will forgive me. The scene shifts to a man receiving a message that someone is looking for Derek Sullivan. The man chuckles lightly. A bunch of stupid fools. Don't they know I'm hiding in the shadows? The man cheerfully whistles a tune from his hometown, completely unaware of the person behind him. Only came home at 3 p.m. today. Hearing this, the man's heart skips a beat. That's much later than I expected. At the same time, the man's information appears. This person is Derek Sullivan, whom Marcus Chen seeks. Derek Sullivan immediately masks his panicked expression. I think you've got the wrong person. Suddenly, black mist attacks toward his eyes. Derek Sullivan reacts quickly, leaning back to dodge it. He stamps both feet on the ground, then releases an illusion and runs away. Marcus Chen watches where he escaped and sighs with admiration. This guy's magic resistance is really high. The black mist couldn't control him immediately. Derek Sullivan stares at him cautiously. Is this the guy who's been looking for me? He already knows my hiding place. I can't let him live. He immediately draws countless hidden weapons from his body. He shoots them toward Marcus Chen. Marcus Chen uses defense shield to neutralize this sneak attack. Derek Sullivan looks at him curiously. Isn't that guy an assassin? Why does he have this skill? Derek Sullivan continues using shadow scatter movement, throwing hidden weapons around Marcus Chen. But this time, Marcus Chen controls his body to dodge them all. Derek Sullivan finds him troublesome. His reaction speed is fast. He's increasing distance between us. Is he dodging and observing me? If that's the case, then I'll force close combat with you. Derek Sullivan moves forward, preparing to resolve this with close combat. But suddenly a large hand appears before him, attacking toward his body. In an instant, Derek Sullivan cannot move. Marcus Chen is already in position, ready to drive his weapon into the opponent's body. Derek Sullivan screams in terror. You can't kill me. How about I tell you a secret? I never expected Seoul National Security Agency and Purification Guild to conspire in something so shady. When Derek Sullivan is captured, Victor Zhang, as humanity's savior, has no choice but to appear, and his appearance is solely to prevent that incident from being exposed. Before this, Derek Sullivan, to save his life, tries to use a secret as exchange, but Marcus Chen doesn't care what secret he's talking about and stabs toward Derek Sullivan's body. Marcus Chen smirks disdainfully. Actually, your greatest asset is those stealth techniques and illusions you're so proud of, but I've already laid traps in all the places you might hide. Every movement you make, I can clearly track your route. The severely injured Derek Sullivan still wants to escape. Marcus Chen shows a playful expression. Save it. You can't escape from me. He then flicks something from his hand, where it hits immediately. Spurts blood. The next second, Derek Sullivan feels a force surging through his bloodstream. Derek Sullivan writhes on the ground in pain, cursing continuously. When the pain subsides slightly, he still threatens Marcus Chen. You damn bastard, I'll tear you to pieces sooner or later. Do you know who's behind me? Purification Guild President Cole Harrison. Derek Sullivan's heart skips a beat. Why does he know who's behind me? Now you can shut up and get some good sleep. The scene shifts to Ryan Mitchell preparing to go to the plaza Marcus Chen mentioned. He recalls what Marcus Chen told him. The National Security Agency uses apps to handle work, but you often use that watch, never treating it as a deceased person's relic. Doesn't this mean your friend's account is still being used? First, you need the security agency to cancel this account. They'll then recognize your friend died in the line of duty. But the people behind Derek Sullivan definitely won't let things develop this way. They want to handle this as quietly as possible. The people behind will definitely suppress this matter. They'll choose to cover up the account rather than cancel it. Your so-called colleagues also found that building by checking the account information, and I'll bring Derek Sullivan before you. In exchange, you must cooperate with me using that account. If everything that guy said is true, then it's all the fault of the security agency and Purification Guild. But how should I handle this now? The two sides now meet at the agreed location. You're quite late. It seems this situation is hard for you to accept right now. Ryan Mitchell doesn't answer, instead asking where Derek Sullivan is. Marcus Chen drags Derek Sullivan like hauling a dead dog. Ryan Mitchell finds it hard to believe he caught him in just a few hours. Marcus Chen tells him, I deliberately chose the busiest time. If you want to arrest him publicly, even the people behind him will be powerless. Or if you want revenge on him, I won't stop you. It's all up to your will. So what's your choice? Ryan Mitchell looks at him without speaking for a long time, constantly thinking of solutions. After much consideration, reason finally prevails. The area is now crowded with people. Marcus Chen calls security agency personnel. A man runs over breathlessly. Are you the one who contacted us about capturing Derek Sullivan? Marcus Chen responds and drags Derek Sullivan forward. The man wants to ask how he caught him, but seeing his expression, chooses to stay quiet. He then asks for his hunter ID number to distribute the reward. Marcus Chen enters a series of numbers and hands over his phone. Meanwhile, they transfer 300 million won to the designated account, and the dungeon lease contract is also sent. The scene shifts to evening. Marcus Chen never expected him to give up revenge. The man sighs. If he were here, he'd want me to do this too. Ryan Mitchell tells Marcus Chen to look up. We're as small as stars in the universe, yet we still dream of hope. In this difficult world, we need a place we can trust. I originally thought the Purification Guild and Security Agency were such places, but now I just want to resolve this matter. If everything you said is true, then I absolutely cannot let the Security Agency and Purification Guild succeed. Marcus Chen looks at him seriously. He should still take the path of resisting leadership. In the novel, he eventually became a demon and the Purification Guild's #1 enemy. In Derek Sullivan's case, he was caught by Cole Harrison. But this time, I've erased all traces, so nothing will happen. Ryan Mitchell thanks Marcus Chen. I thought you approached me for the bounty. The bounty is only part of the reason. After all, I'm not someone who works for free. Compared to the bounty, Marcus Chen cares more about how to cut off Cole Harrison's limbs, because that's the greatest wealth. Meanwhile, Cole Harrison holds Derek Sullivan's file. His arms were crippled during capture? Yes, he's still in life-threatening condition. We've sent him to the hospital. Cole Harrison carelessly tosses the documents. Doesn't matter. I can't use him anymore anyway. The next second, massive killing intent appears in Cole Harrison's eyes. Tell me which bastard did this. The man hurriedly searches for the Hunter ID number he just recorded. But what follows is the man's terror. Cole Harrison is displeased. What's wrong? The man's face is full of panic because all the information he just recorded has disappeared. A police officer deleted all the information, but this is a dead person's account. There must be some mistake. Cole Harrison angrily smashes the table before him. He glares with bulging veins. You want me to believe this nonsense? Or I'll use security agency. People eating garbage. Cole Harrison is about to explode when a voice stops him. A massive rune appears before them. Enough, Cole Harrison. You need to calm down now. Victor Zhang, humanity's savior, emerges from the rune. I don't think you should be so angry, don't you agree? This is a plot that runs through the entire novel. Even Marcus Chen, as the novel's author, doesn't know about it, because this is a struggle between dual protagonists. It's also a battle between myself and myself. Before this, Ryan Mitchell expresses gratitude regarding Derek Sullivan's matter. Without Marcus Chen, he would never have had the chance for revenge. Marcus Chen doesn't care about this, because he remembers, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Right now, he needs a sharp blade against the Purification Guild, and Ryan Mitchell is a reliable ally. After chatting, Ryan Mitchell prepares to return to Seoul. Watching him leave, Marcus Chen feels somewhat emotional. Everything he's experiencing now is exactly the development he wanted to write in his novel before. Victor Zhang suddenly approaches Cole Harrison. You don't seem to be in a good mood. When Cole Harrison sees Victor Zhang arrive, he knows trouble has come knocking. Then Victor Zhang says leave, and both subordinates' pupils suddenly contract. Like puppets, they nod stiffly and leave with smiles. The two then sit down. Tell me, what exactly happened? My tool is broken. I feel like someone is deliberately targeting him. A powerful pressure appears in the room. Didn't I tell you to maintain composure? So where's the problem now? Whether those guys you mentioned exist or not doesn't matter at all. Anyone who dares obstruct our dream will become ash. Meanwhile, Marcus Chen arrives before a stone sculpture. In the novel, this is a hidden dungeon that Victor Zhang can use. But this time, it can only be used by me. As Marcus Chen steps into the cave, a dangerous aura follows. He immediately summons his weapons. Suddenly, something of unclear shape appears. As the shadow gradually dissipates, a humanoid monster appears, Boss John Young. This is a troublesome opponent. If it gets close, I'll be in danger. As they face off, someone in the nearby forest seems to be observing everything. Suddenly, the boss emanates a strange power. A massive figure materializes behind the boss. As the boss's thoughts flash, the towering shadow bursts forth multiple dark figures. When the shadows hit the ground, they transform into countless duplicates. Marcus Chen observes its movements, because timing is crucial to defeat this boss. Meanwhile, all the duplicates rush toward Marcus Chen at once. Marcus Chen realizes the timing is perfect. Using the glove's mechanism, he throws his weapon. However, the weapon doesn't attack the first duplicate, instead passing right beside it. Then with a thought, he controls the weapon's trajectory. In an instant, several duplicates are skewered like candy on a stick, as if by design. Seeing Marcus Chen freeze up, the other duplicates immediately pounce. But Marcus Chen doesn't recall his previous weapon, instead summoning a long sword. He explosively pushes off with both feet toward the other duplicates. In just 1 second, he appears before a duplicate. Just as Marcus Chen is about to eliminate the duplicate before him, an abnormal sensation appears. Suddenly, the boss's main body appears behind him. However, when the boss attacks Marcus Chen, it discovers the person before it is just a duplicate. As Marcus Chen raises his palm upward, the distant dagger suddenly moves. The boss then loses sight of Marcus Chen. It starts looking around from its position. Meanwhile, Gangu Shin once again used the glove's special property to control his distant dagger. A point of light suddenly appeared in the sky. As the light gradually approached, the dagger appeared right above the boss's head. In an instant, the dagger plunged in with tremendous force, as the boss's body kept trembling. After a few seconds, there was no more sound. Being able to defeat this tricky boss so easily was something Gangu Shin had already planned out. He used his clone to attract the opponent's attention, while his real body had already hidden nearby. Combined with the dagger the opponent hadn't noticed earlier, he controlled the boss step by step within his own design. As the boss disappeared, the system notification came through, successfully plundered the target's skill Shadow Step. After obtaining Shadow Step, Gangu Shin smiled, because this skill was especially important to him. With this, Gangu Shin's first step was successfully completed. Just as Gangu Shin was still checking the rewards, a black shadow suddenly merged together again. A clone that looked exactly like Gangu Shin appeared. At this moment, Gangu Shin showed a vigilant expression. It was exactly the same as in the novel. The scene shifted. Guan Yongche reminded Siwan Zhang not to be too optimistic. After all, nothing was absolute. Suddenly, that familiar pressure came again. What do you mean by that? This world revolves around me. I am good, I am justice, everything is decided by me. You mean you're the protagonist? That's right, I am the protagonist. This is a battle between me and another me, and that other me is Gangu Shin. On Gangu Shin's side, this was a battle between himself and himself. The boss not only copied Gangu Shin's appearance, but even copied all his skills. The boss didn't hesitate for a moment, picked up his weapon and assumed an attacking stance. In an instant, the boss used short-distance leap toward Gangu Shin. However, Gang Guxin was already prepared and dodged the attack with just a tilt of his head. The two immediately crossed blades. Since the opponent knew all his combat techniques, he could only fight in close combat first. If he used clone magic, it would be countered by the opponent's perception. At this moment, the boss used black fog to block vision, and both sides knew this skill's weakness. If Gang Guxin rashly used short-distance leap, the opponent would definitely use the binding skill. What remained were skills that required physical contact to use. However, both sides learned from the same teacher, so it was hard to break through. Then Gang Guxin used instant movement to get behind the boss. He immediately used the rapid stab skill on the boss. He thought the sneak attack would succeed, but didn't expect the opponent to easily deflect it. A barrier appeared around the boss's body. It was the life-saving skill magic barrier that Gang Guxin had obtained earlier. At this moment, flames ignited on Gang Guxin's dagger. Since neither side could break through the defense, let's see how long you can hold out. He then used the clone skill he had just obtained. Seeing this, the boss didn't understand what the opponent's purpose was, but he still activated his perception skill. Then he lunged toward Gang Guxin's real body. To this, Gang Guxin just gave a contemptuous smile, as if everything was under his control. When the boss slashed at Gang Guxin, he discovered the opponent was just a clone. However, Gang Guxin once again used instant movement to get behind him. The boss was so enraged by this toying that his teeth were bared. However, Gang Guxin's attack was once again blocked by the magic barrier. What the boss didn't expect was that the originally solid barrier began to gradually crack. In just a few seconds, a gap was torn in the barrier. The boss then switched from defense to offense. He pushed hard with both feet and thrust toward Gang Guxin. However, the Gang Guxin pierced by the boss showed a mocking smile. At this moment, the boss also noticed something was wrong. Gang Guxin appeared in front of the boss using the instant movement skill, and the opponent barely managed to block it with that tattered magic barrier. In just 1 second, the barrier shattered again. The boss wanted to catch Gang Guxin's stiffness. Unexpectedly, that powerful strike was easily dodged by the opponent. Then Gang Guxin appeared behind him once again. This time, the boss didn't use the magic barrier, but instead threw the weapon in his hand. However, what he hit was still Gang Guxin's clone. These repeated maneuvers gradually drove the boss to the breaking point. Afterward, the two repeated the same pattern. The boss used the magic barrier to defend. Gang Guxin used thrust to break through the barrier. Just when Gang Guxin appeared behind the boss once again, the boss wanted to continue using the magic barrier, but found that no matter what, he couldn't form the barrier. This made the boss curse under his breath. At this moment, Gang Guxin suddenly spoke. "Looks like you've reached your limit. You probably don't have enough mana to use it now. Perhaps you even copied my magic hypersensitivity." At this moment, the boss finally showed a panicked expression. In an instant, Gang Guxin stabbed the boss with 100 holes. The boss who suffered this attack didn't fall. Instead, he used the leap skill to run away. In contrast, Gang Guxin didn't choose to pursue. He just raised his hand and snapped his fingers, blood burn. In an instant, the wounds on the boss's body suddenly erupted at this moment. At this moment, the boss died. The moment the boss fell to the ground, he began to gradually dissipate. "Thanks to you, for the first time in a while, I realized my magic hypersensitivity is actually quite useful." At this time, the system sent a notification. "Congratulations. You have obtained skill amplification, one-time use only." After receiving the system notification, Gang Guxin didn't pay much attention, because he had already planned everything. He then found that skill in his skill list. At this moment, a colorful light appeared, and the skill that was originally max became ultimate. At this point, Gang Guxin smiled. His first ultimate skill had finally appeared. At this moment, Gang Guxin looked up. A data-like point of light was gradually contracting. The contraction of the light point blocked what was originally Siwan Zhang's opportunity. Gang Guxin sighed with relief that he had set this instance dungeon as a one-time instance dungeon. But what surprised Gang Guxin about this trip was the red crystal and skill book in his hands. The red crystal was a rare material used to upgrade items or skills. If Siwan Zhang had obtained it, even Gang Guxin would have felt jealous. He then put away the red crystal and picked up that skill book exclusive to assassins. He quickly found the skill he wanted to obtain. Backstab, gained 33% damage bonus when attacking an enemy from behind. This instance dungeon was now completely finished, and Gang Guxin was ready to go back and deal with Zhang Taehyo's matter. Just moments ago, Gang Guxin had found Yerin Li. Yerin Li asked why he had transferred 100 million won to her account. If So Huicha found out about this, she would definitely come looking for trouble. Gang Guxin explained, because Gang Guxin's name couldn't appear before her eyes, otherwise she would come directly to his door. "I heard that to catch you. They didn't hesitate to burn many hunters to death. You don't need to worry. I investigated your identity to better protect you." At this moment, one sentence from Gang Guxin stunned Yerin Li. "Because I captured SEO Zheng Tae, and I have a reason for not telling you my identity. If I exposed my identity, even if I got the commission, Blue Eyes wouldn't receive the payment." Yerin Li wasn't listening to what Gang Guxin was saying, but was still absorbed in the fact that Zhang Taehyo had been caught. He actually caught Zhang Taehyo without leaving any trace. He always manages to surprise me. Where exactly is his limit? So how should I address you now? After all, I now know your real information. For everyone's safety, you should still address me by my alias. No problem, then let's talk about the commission now. The two talked for a long time. Yerin Li said someone would specifically take you there, and they also wanted to see your abilities. Just when Gang Guxin arrived at the meeting point, a cute girl walked over and gave Gang Guxin a friendly self-introduction. Seeing her appearance, Gang Guxin nodded in acknowledgement. Then his gaze turned to that exclusive bus. Inside the bus were dedicated hunters for protection. Although their fees were expensive, they could guarantee the safety of this trip. Gang Huxin didn't care and casually found a seat to rest. After who knows how long, the originally quiet bus suddenly became noisy. The awakened Gang Huxin was obviously somewhat displeased. He turned to look at the hunter. "Can you get them to quiet down? I need to rest now." After a while, Gang Huxin suddenly summoned his weapon. In the weapon's reflection, he saw a figure walking toward him. Gang Huxin glanced without showing any emotion. The man walked over with a gloomy face. He suddenly raised his weapon and aimed it at Gang Huxin. A bang rang out, nearly causing the other passengers to faint from fright. However, the next second, the man was stunned. The man who had been sitting in the chair had disappeared. At this moment, Gang Huxin had already arrived behind the man using instant movement. Without any hesitation, he used the backstab skill on the man's back. Gang Huxin gave a wicked smile. This skill really is useful. However, this action attracted everyone's attention in the bus. Seeing this, the other hunters immediately pulled out their weapons ready for battle. They have large numbers, I can't let my guard down. Suddenly, a man with a constellation above his head caught Gang Huxin's attention. Constellation, father of music. Recovery speed increased by 5 times when listening to classical music. At the same time, Sang Miyun also drew her weapon ready to fight, but Gang Huxin told her he would handle it himself. Sang Miyun didn't refuse, but instead looked at him admiringly. "Perfect. I can observe your abilities." Suddenly, Gang Huxin stomped his foot. A cloud of black fog was rapidly surrounding several people. The few who didn't react quickly fell for it. At the same time, several clones attacked different people. The man raised his gun with bared teeth. "Damn it, don't let me see you." At this moment, everyone in the vehicle had lost their vision and were being toyed with by the clones. Gang Huxin suddenly appeared and stabbed the blonde guy from earlier. The weakened blonde thought the one in front was the real body and instinctively shot to kill, but didn't expect it was just a clone. As for the others, they were overwhelmed by the black fog and clones. After severely injuring the blonde, Gang Huxin came before another person. With one upward strike, he took down another. Seeing this, the headphone guy stopped holding back. He shot at the clone in front of him. Before the headphone guy could react, Gang Huxin had already appeared on his left side. In the blink of an eye, several wounds appeared on the headphone guy's body. "Not bad, kid. Although you've impressed me, this is still far from enough." Hearing this, Gang Huxin gave a contemptuous smile. "Looks like you don't know the consequences yet." At this moment, Gang Huxin snapped his fingers again. In an instant, all the injured people had blood spurting from their wounds. With a bang, everyone died from Gang Huxin's blood burn. This blood burn had such an effect precisely because Gang Huxin had previously upgraded blood burn to ultimate. At this moment inside the bus, most people had turned into zombies. But the headphone guy managed to withstand the damage with his superior recovery ability. "You damn bastard. Looks like you really love music." At the same time, the headphone guy quietly picked up his weapon. "Arrogant fool, I'll send you to your death right now." However, a shoe stepped on the headphone guy's foot. The headphone guy, without any guard, flew toward Gang Huxin's dagger. He crashed straight into the dagger and lost his life. The person who helped Gang Huxin throw the headphone guy over was Sang Miyun. The corners of Sang Miyun's mouth lifted slightly. "Very good, you've passed the test." Just now, Gang Huxin dealt with the hunters on the vehicle. Then the system notification came. "Congratulations, you have successfully plundered Father of Music." "Very good, from now on I can listen to classical music during rest to cultivate my temperament." At the same time, Gang Huxin began to clean up the battlefield. "This is a good item. It's a stamina item proportional to my level. These shoes are also a high agility item. As for the remaining items, might as well find a place to dispose of them." At this moment, Sang Miyun walked over. "Aren't you going to thank me? After all, I think my assist was quite good. I want to officially appoint you as the captain of Taehua River." Hearing this, Gang Huxin was stunned. Taehua River. Ulsan was just a side story in the novel, so I only gave them names and whether they survived, and Taehua River was one of them. I didn't expect Sang Miyun to become the captain. As captain, you will receive $250 million annually. If you can bring me Tai Sugong's left arm, you will be the supreme of Ulsan. Gang Huxin pretended to think for a moment. "I have one more condition. I want to elevate Taehua River's status above Ulsan. Give me a chance to meet with the leader of Abyss." Abyss was one of the Salvation Guild's forces. They were the military organization with the strongest cohesion and organizational power. Although in the novel, they would eventually disband due to internal rebellion, and I needed to intervene with them quickly if I wanted to defeat the Salvation Guild. I needed their power. I didn't expect this opportunity to come so soon. Taehua River was one of Abyss's guard organizations, and this was a good opportunity to get close to Abyss. "Looks like you're very ambitious, but we need to see results before we can discuss details with you." The scene shifted. The two arrived at a spacious plaza. The other people in the plaza were eyeing the two of them covetously. "Do you see the instanced dungeon barrier in the distance? Tae Sugong comes here every few days." At this moment, Gang Huxin also noticed some hostile gazes. Judging from the atmosphere in the plaza, they didn't seem to be here to clear the instanced dungeon. Could they all be here to capture Tai Sugong? As you said, the vast majority of them have this purpose. You should know about fireworks. Fireworks was a term mercenaries used when working together. Once someone used fireworks, it meant someone would definitely die. Before executing a mission, they would inform each other of their wishes, meaning someone would sacrifice themselves in exchange. The last person alive would fulfill their wishes. As long as I don't participate in the mission, they will execute it this way. Hearing this, Gangushin fell into thought, although Tae-Soo Gong survived this assassination in the story. But this time, I need to change this outcome. In Ulsan, everyone who heard the 3 words Tae-Soo Gong was filled with disgust, because he was covered in many people's blood. He was a madman who didn't care about anyone. Otherwise, he wouldn't have the title of Butcher of Ulsan. He was a desperate outlaw, so there were many assassination missions on him. The main reason no one could kill him for so long was that he had many items above level 200. At this moment, a commotion attracted their attention. Tae-Soo Gong was walking along swaggering, and the gem on his left hand was particularly dazzling. When the people in the plaza saw their target, everyone's eyes fell on him. Some onlookers were still discussing the gem on his hand. At this moment, Sang Mi-yoon also revealed Tae-Soo Gong's secret. Whenever Tae-Soo Gong uses magic, he needs to rely on the power of his left arm, which is why he depends so much on the gem. Everyone here was thinking about that bounty. They were all looking for an opportunity. The moment he stepped into the instance dungeon would be the time to strike. Then Gangushin planned to leave. "Aren't you coming with me? Taewa River is nearby. Let's talk about that later. I have something to take care of now." The scene shifted to inside the trading hall. Gangushin spent 500 million won to purchase an item. This item could reduce pain effects and also increase stamina attributes. For Gangushin, this was a very good thing. Then he sold off all the loot he had obtained earlier. Gangushin browsed the trading center for half a day, but didn't find what he was looking for. Suddenly, Gangushin thought of Tae-Soo Gong. This guy had no constellation, but his subordinates still flattered him they were protecting a fake this much, which meant they were plotting something. Where was the real him? He should have developed a habit of checking work before executing plans. At this moment, a man brushed past Gangushin, and this caught Gangushin's attention, the holder of the sacred Bao constellation. Seeing this, the corners of Gangushin's mouth lifted slightly. "Finally caught you. If it weren't for his constellation, I wouldn't have even thought that was him." There were even many constellation holders gathered around him. After Tae-Soo Gong got on the bus left. Gangushin prepared to continue tracking him. If he rashly used transportation, and their routes overlapped, he would definitely notice, although this method would make him feel tired. But this was the only option left. "I must find your true intentions." The scene shifted. Tae-Soo Gong arrived at a hideout. "I'm already getting excited. I really want to see the expressions on those mercenaries' faces when they discover my decoy." Everyone laughed along. Those bastards probably never thought they'd become the hunted. "Boss, if you join this game, they'd be completely finished." Suddenly, Tae-Soo Gong felt something unusual. In an instant, he summoned his weapon and rushed out. When he arrived at the source of the disturbance, he found nothing. This made him doubt himself. Did I sense it wrong? Little did he know Gangushin, who was tracking him, had already changed locations. Perhaps it was with this intuition that he was able to survive the fireworks. But his actions were obvious, and I will deal with you the same way. The scene shifted. Sang Mi-yoon and her group were waiting for someone. "Where did that guy Gangushin go? Why is he so late?" At this moment, the subordinate beside Sang Mi-yoon spoke up. "Boss, honestly, I don't trust him. Not long ago, the White Rose Legion was eliminated by the Salvation Guild. I really suspect he's a spy for the Salvation Guild." Sang Mi-yoon said not to worry. His identity was confirmed through Abyss. The leader of Blue Eyes, Yerin Lee, gained trust by providing mercenaries to multiple clients. Rather than forming exclusive relationships with any particular group, their ability to remain neutral among many organizations meant they had such capability and power. If Blue Eyes recommended him to us, that means he has this ability, so he is worthy of trust. At this moment, Sang Mi-yoon's phone rang. When she opened her phone, a message appeared before her eyes. This was an encrypted message. Then she notified her subordinates to gather everyone. "We're leaving here immediately." At the same time, more and more people were waiting for Tae-Soo Gong at the instance dungeon entrance. After a while, the decoy walked out with many subordinates. The moment he came out, everyone immediately became alert. The mercenaries all pulled out their weapons ready to kill him. With one command from the decoy, a melee began. In just one encounter, the mercenaries suffered heavy losses. "You damn bastards, taste the fireworks." Just as the mercenaries were about to deal with the enemy before them, a red line appeared above their heads. A bang rang out. The mercenaries were consumed by flames. Tae-Soo Gong laughed at this sight. "These are real fireworks." Tae-Soo Gong's strike put the mercenaries in a death trap. "Are you ready to enjoy the fireworks?" At this moment, the mercenaries realized they had already fallen into his trap. As blood continuously eroded the mercenaries, a grand fireworks display appeared. This grand fireworks display bloomed, but the cost was the mercenaries' lives. However, in a ruin, the real Tae-Soo Gong was hiding here, coordinating with his decoy. From here he could hit every shot. However, Tae-Soo Gong didn't know there was someone hiding behind him the whole time. At this moment, Gangushin had already learned the opponent's plan. The decoy was in front acting. Tae-Soo Gong was in the back dealing with enemies. Just when Tae-Soo Gong was about to act again, Gangushin suddenly released his binding skill. In an instant, Tae-Soo Gong was caught by claws. At this moment, Tae-Soo Gong suddenly disappeared, leaving his nearby subordinates at a loss. At this moment, Tae-Soo Gong appeared before Gangushin. "Who are you? Why are you capturing me?" Gangushin didn't answer, but instead showed a meaningful smile. However, his confident strike was deflected. Then Gangushin immediately redirected his weapon, but the moment the dagger pierced the opponent's chest, Tae-Soo Gong suddenly disappeared. This made Gangushin frown. Instant movement. If it's this skill kill, then he's definitely near me, and the best position would be behind me. Then Gong Hu-shin attacked toward the position behind him. Due to the stiffness from teleporting, Tae-Soo Gong couldn't dodge Gong Hu-shin's rapid stabs. However, Gong Hu-shin didn't seem to want to kill him. He only stabbed the dagger into his left arm. At this moment, something unexpected happened. Tae-Soo Gong's palm appeared before Gong Hu-shin. A bang rang out, an explosion detonated before Gong Hu-shin. After the explosion's aftermath dissipated, fierce flames burned nearby. However, Gong Hu-shin had also disappeared. At this moment, Gong Hu-shin was hiding in a corner observing, "This flame is more powerful than I imagined." Then Gong Hu-shin actively revealed himself, which made Tae-Soo Gong furious. "You damn bastard, are you toying with me?" At this moment, Gong Hu-shin suddenly raised his finger. "Say goodbye, it won't belong to you anymore." The sound of snapping fingers followed. With a bang, large amounts of blood gushed from Tae-Soo Gong's left arm. This tearing pain made him roar uncontrollably. "I will deal with you personally." At this moment, Tae-Soo Gong had become deranged. Just when he was about to raise his left arm, a strange feeling appeared. He discovered he couldn't feel his left arm's existence. When he turned to look at his left arm, he found his left arm had been severed at some point. At this moment, a blue claw grabbed his severed left arm. Then the left arm appeared in Gong Hu-shin's hand. Seeing this, Tae-Soo Gong completely lost his sanity. Even risking excessive blood loss, he wanted to catch Gong Hu-shin. In contrast, Gong Hu-shin had a playful expression. "You damn bastard, don't let me catch you." At this moment, a group of people appeared in the unfinished building. When he saw who they were, he panicked. His subordinates were all lying on the ground lifeless. At this moment, Sang Mi-yun walked out. She was able to find this place because of the message Gong Hu-shin had sent her earlier. In the message, she learned that everything Tae-Soo Gong had planned was a scam. It was all to trap all the mercenaries in one fell swoop. At the same time, Sang Mi-yun had raised her weapon and attacked Tae-Soo Gong. She casually swung her weapon, and a powerful sword energy sent all the surrounding corpses flying. Before this powerful sword energy, Tae-Soo Gong could only choose to flee. However, after just a few seconds, Tae-Soo Gong was engulfed by the sword energy. When the sword energy dissipated, Tae-Soo Gong's eyes were vacant, and he had fainted. Due to the lack of Tae-Soo Gong's assistance, the decoy could no longer withstand the mercenaries' assault. At some point, a weapon pierced the decoy's chest. This scene gave all the mercenaries hope of victory. The moment the decoy fell to the ground, the appearance that belonged to Tae-Soo Gong suddenly changed into an unrelated person. At this moment, all the mercenaries realized they had been deceived, and they seemed to have lost the will to resist. However, at this moment, Sang Mi-yun suddenly appeared. In no time, she dealt with all the enemies around her. Sang Mi-yun's appearance gave everyone the will to survive. In an instant, all the mercenaries were in a melee again. Before long, the enemies were completely slaughtered. At this moment, Sang Mi-yun's phone received another message. "Please don't forget your promise." This message reminded Sang Mi-yun of Gong Hu-shin's words, "Let me meet the leader of Abyss." Then Sang Mi-yun replied, "Once things here are finished, I will immediately contact Abyss." The scene shifted to an office. Yerin Lee was holding Tae-Soo Gong's left arm. "Your work ability is excellent. I'm very happy to meet you in Daejeon." "Cut the pleasantries. What is So-hui-cha doing now?" Yerin Lee chuckled. "I gave her some false information. Right now she should be hitting walls everywhere in Jeonju." Before this, Gong Hu-shin learned from Yerin Lee that he had become a celebrity. This made Gong Hu-shin frown. This had already deviated from the novel's trajectory, and this incident taught Gong Hu-shin a lesson. If he dealt with Siwon-jang in the future, he must be careful and cautious. At this moment, Yerin Lee changed her smile. "I think you should continue working with Blue Eyes in the future. Naturally, provided there's no better option. In that case, let's talk about the next commission. Your target this time is named Gubin Jo. He's a serial killer who usually targets minors. The last place he appeared was at Ground Zero. That file contained more detailed information, which you could look into before departure." Gong Hu-shin had wanted to rest for a while, but he didn't expect this commission to come so quickly. Before heading to Ground Zero, he needed to make a series of preparations. Meanwhile, Siwon-jang was watching news reports about Gong Hu-shin. Not bad. An interesting fellow. Siwon-jang then called the intelligence team, demanding they collect all information about Tae-Soo Gong and find the hunter who cut off his left arm. The scene shifted to inside a high-rise building. Gong Hu-shin found Song Yuk-han, the general manager who oversaw the dungeon. "We haven't met before, have we? We don't lend dungeon permits to complete strangers." 1 billion. I'll pay 1 billion for a single permit to the Waltman dungeon. Hearing this, the man was startled. The man who had been sitting immediately teleported to the door and gestured for him to enter. The man thought Gong Hu-shin was a fool with too much money, not knowing that this dungeon's value far exceeded 1 billion. The scene shifted, and Gong Hu-shin had already appeared inside the dungeon. He didn't waste time and quickly cleared out the small monsters in the dungeon. When the nearby small monsters were cleared, his level also rose to 37. He immediately allocated all the attribute points from leveling up to stamina. Just then, a strange sound appeared. A three-eyed werewolf appeared, and dealing with this werewolf in front of him was one of Gong Hu-shin's purposes for coming here. Seeing the boss appear, Gong Hu-shin didn't hesitate and immediately attacked it. The werewolf, seeing this, released magic from both hands. The lava originally beneath the bridge immediately erupted, as if wanting to swallow him. Following the werewolf's mental command, the slowly flowing lava suddenly became violent. like an enraged beast. While dodging the lava, Gangu Shin released his clones. This let the werewolf smell the scent of food. It immediately pulled its head back and began charging power. In an instant, a scorching flame erupted forth. However, Gangu Shin used his clones to block this attack. When the clones disappeared and turned into several points of light, the werewolf swallowed both the flames and light points. After devouring them, the werewolf recovered some magic power. What nice food indeed. Gangu Shin wasn't surprised by this scene, it was just as he expected. This time, let me prepare a special meal for you. To deal with the werewolf, Gangu Shin had been laying groundwork for a long time. The skill book he obtained from killing a boss earlier hadn't been wasted. He had been waiting for this moment. Its value would be demonstrated at this moment. Following the werewolf's mental control, countless flames attacked Gangu Shin. Gangu Shin also dodged with agile movement. Just then, he created several clones again. When the werewolf sensed the familiar scent emanating from the clones, the werewolf hesitated for a moment. But the werewolf prepared to repeat its tactics, releasing flames once more. At the same time, a skill book appeared in Gangu Shin's hand. Gangu Shin then prepared to find the right moment to throw the skill book in his hand. The skill book then passed through the clones and headed straight toward the flames. Enjoy the delicacy I've prepared for you. This flavor will leave you wanting more. Soon the flames devoured the clones. Just like before, the werewolf once again devoured all the light points. As the werewolf savored the food, it discovered that this food tasted different from before. At this moment, the skill book suddenly appeared above the werewolf's head. Then a dazzling light appeared. After the light dissipated, it turned into several points of light that wrapped around the werewolf's hands. However, at this moment, something strange happened. A system notification actually appeared before the werewolf. Cannot use skill. You have no weapon. The werewolf tried again, only to find the system kept reminding it. This made the werewolf incredibly furious. You damned thing. What did you do? It seems you're not satisfied with the food I gave you. The werewolf, seeing that Gangu Shin dared to provoke it like this, decisively used the skill Fire Rain. Gangu Shin wasn't flustered at all and teleported behind the werewolf. Then he used the skill grab. The werewolf was caught off guard. Just as it was about to counterattack, it was blocked by Gangu Shin's shield. In that instant of blocking, he seized the opportunity to stab the werewolf repeatedly with his blade. After stabbing, he decisively fled, leaving the werewolf completely confused. Seeing the distance was about right, Gangu Shin snapped his fingers. Blood explosions erupted all over the werewolf's body. The werewolf staggered twice and then went still. Congratulations on obtaining the skill decapitation. After seeing this, Gangu Shin was secretly delighted, because this was just as he expected. If he learned that skill book himself, it would definitely take a long time. But if he let the boss learn it and then killed it, the plundered skill would reach max level. This was a game exploit. Now that he had made sufficient preparations, it was time to head to Ground Zero. The next day, at Seoul Station. At this moment, Gangu Shin was staring at that hypocritical man on the screen, his heart full of disgust. Just then, a red-haired woman noticed Gangu Shin, who stood out from the crowd. So she greeted him. Gangu Shin saw the woman's constellation through the pop-up and couldn't help but freeze. They then immediately went to a coffee shop. The woman was exuding a seductive aura everywhere, but this was useless on Gangu Shin, who had been single for decades. Stop wasting your effort, your skill doesn't work on me. That's right, the woman's constellation was the Fox of Seduction, a dark constellation that charmed others. And through this constellation, Gangu Shin already knew the woman's identity very clearly. She was one of the 13 stars, Chunghwa-yu. Chunghwa-yu smiled faintly after hearing this. I thought only Siwanjiang in Q country could resist. This is my business card. If you're interested, you can look into it. With that, she handed the card to Gangu Shin. Gangu Shin didn't hesitate and took it directly. The woman then left. Sometime later, Gangu Shin finally arrived at Ground Zero. Looking at the map in his hand, he decided to hunt for treasure first before completing the commission. While he was thinking, black smoke rose behind him. The black smoke slowly formed into a woman with an alluring figure, but he didn't notice this scene. After looking at the map, he prepared to begin his operation. His target was the mad salatium. This herb was very useful for suppressing mana allergy. However, the side effects were severe. 30 minutes after use, one would be exhausted and unable to move, but these 30 minutes were enough to turn the tide. A few minutes later, Gangu Shin was advancing rapidly using his skill. Before long, he discovered a mad salatium growing on a cliff wall. Without further ado, he leaped up directly, but this also alarmed the herb's guardian beast, Mad Farmer. Farmer, seeing someone touching its things, decisively used a whip technique, but Gangu Shin used its force against it and instantly appeared in front of Farmer. Reaching the cliff top, Gangu Shin had no hesitation. A flame-imbued dagger stabbed straight into its body. Farmer burned to ashes and fell to the bottom of the cliff. After eliminating Farmer, his level finally reached 40, and he learned the skill evasion. Gangu Shin looked at the pop-up in front of him and couldn't help but smile. It was time to deal with the uninvited guest. With that, he teleported quickly toward the tree trunk behind him. The black shadow in the tree was startled by this sudden move and could only deactivate invisibility. The moment Gangu Shin saw this face, he froze instantly. Wasn't this person Yuri Zhang, his junior from the real world? Yuri Zhang's family was very successful, with her father's business thriving. Won Young-chae also began pursuing her because of this. But after Yuri Jong's family went bankrupt, Won Young-chae abandoned her. So originally, Gang Gu-shin wrote her as an antagonist who hated Won Young-chae, though he hadn't elaborated much. Yuri Jong, seeing Gang Gu-shin was somewhat angry, hurriedly apologized. But unexpectedly, Gang Gu-shin directly drew his dagger and charged power. Yuri Jong was so frightened she closed her eyes tightly, but he was just clearing out a monster that was preparing to ambush them. After clearing the monster, Gang Gu-shin told her not to follow him anymore. With that, he turned and walked away. Over the next few days, Gang Gu-shin desperately slaughtered farmers to obtain solace grass, but only found 6. Thinking the time was about right, he prepared to complete the commission. Along the way, he encountered a very rare angel-type monster, but he didn't pay much attention and left. After walking a bit more, he saw a corpse with rare equipment in its hand, but the black-eyed parasitizing its body was too powerful. Gang Gu-shin didn't dare take it rashly. However, there was still a way to deal with it. That was to lure it to the angel-type monster. Angel-type monsters had extremely strong territorial awareness, and they possessed sacred power that could eliminate black guides. After resolving it, he took the weapon. As compensation, he decided to bring back the identity information to help reunite him with his family. After doing all this, Gang Gu-shin prepared to complete the commission. After Gang Gu-shin left, a wisp of black smoke suddenly appeared. That's right, it was Yuri Jong who had caught up. Gang Gu-shin naturally noticed but didn't pay much attention, because this commission was somewhat troublesome. The target was named Gubin Jo, who specifically targeted children, a complete scumbag. So this mission wasn't a simple assassination, he had to fulfill the client's conditions. After reading, Gang Gu-shin remained silent. He directly used mana tracking to capture Gubin Jo's figure. Then it was hunting time. At this moment, Gubin Jo was still immersed in the pleasure of killing, completely unaware that Gang Gu-shin was behind him. By the time he reacted, the weapon in his hand had been taken by the grab skill. Without a weapon, Gubin Jo could only use his second constellation, Ice Witch, a constellation that controlled ice magic. However, Gang Gu-shin wasn't in a hurry to fight, but asked Gubin Jo why he did that to children. Gubin Jo was stunned for a moment. "I was wondering what you were here for. So you accepted a commission. Because they're weak. Aren't children just little fools who don't understand how evil the world is? I first pretend to be close and give them treats, then betray them in the end. Ha ha ha. You don't know how wonderful their expressions were when they were being harmed. If anyone's to blame, it's them for being too foolish." Hearing this, Yuri Jong, hiding in the shadows, bit her lip in frustration, because she thought of her past self, completing missions with genuine sincerity, but being betrayed. After hearing this, Gang Gu-shin no longer hesitated. He directly used phantom technique to quickly surround him. Gubin Jo was dumbfounded after seeing this. In this moment of daze, Gang Gu-shin seized the opportunity and teleported in front of him. Then a thrust stabbed into his body. Gubin Jo was in too much pain to chant spells and could only attack with his hands, but Gang Gu-shin used Shadow Swap to get behind him. Then he used decapitation combined with backstab skill. Gubin Jo was beaten unconscious on the spot. Seeing the enemy had fallen, Gang Gu-shin prepared to implement torture according to the client's requirements. With that, he placed his phone on a stand and started a video call. Sometime later, Gubin Jo, covered in blood, collapsed on the ground, still begging for mercy. The client, seeing the torture was sufficient, said that was enough. "Thank you so much. You did what the police and the law couldn't do for me. I only did what I should have done. May your daughter rest in peace." With that, he hung up the phone. "Since the commission is complete, there's no need for you to remain alive." Just as he finished speaking, countless blood explosions erupted from Gubin Jo's body. With the mission complete, Yuri Jong stopped hiding. "There's a dungeon I've never been able to clear. Can you come check it out with me?" Clearing dungeons, Gang Gu-shin naturally agreed. After all, he could get boss skills for free. Gang Gu-shin carefully examined this dungeon that was about to collapse. When he wrote this novel originally, he only mentioned Ground Zero had many dungeons but didn't elaborate, so they might as well explore it. The two then strode forward. Upon entering the dungeon, what came into view was a damaged stone tablet. The tablet read, "Those whose feet are stained with blood who invade the deepest part will be trapped here." Gang Gu-shin read it and laughed disdainfully. The two then slowly walked forward. They soon encountered several small monsters. They were undead monsters, mummies, but they were just small monsters. He killed them instantly with one move. After dealing with them, the two continued forward, and before long they arrived at the mid-boss room. The boss, hearing movement, decisively released a slash attack at them. The two hurriedly dodged. Then looking closely, it was a mummy knight wearing armor and wielding a sword. It possessed skills that balanced defense and defense. "Yuri Jong, send me to the top of its head." Yuri Jong was somewhat confused after hearing this, but still gathered mana to perform the operation. The dimensional gate was immediately opened, but this boss's reaction speed was extraordinarily strong. No matter how they teleported, it could accurately track them. But with their coordination, Gang Gu-shin quickly seized the opportunity and landed a decapitation on it. The boss's blood consequently gushed out. Feeling the pain in its body, the boss became furious. Fortunately, he was teleported back in time, otherwise the consequences would have been unthinkable. As for the final blow, it was left to Yuri Jong. With one photoelectric magic attack, the boss died on the spot. Gang Gu-shin also successfully plundered its skill. Then it was time to take on the main boss. though it was the main boss. It had no desire to attack whatsoever, just praying silently. Suddenly, a pool of blood slowly flowed from the boss's eyes. What followed was the boss's body cracking open, and light that shot up into the sky. This made the two feel something was very wrong. So Ganku Shin decisively threw his dagger and instantly killed the boss. The system successfully displayed, "You have successfully eliminated the boss," but no skill was dropped. He was stunned, but now wasn't the time to worry about such things. The priority was to escape. Yurijong, use all your escape skills and run quickly. Yurijong nodded, then immediately transformed into black mist and moved rapidly. Ganku Shin also hurriedly used acceleration skills to flee the scene, but still couldn't keep up with the collapse speed. For this, he could only consume the mad silicium he obtained earlier. After consuming it, Ganku Shin felt his body become light, his speed increasing several times. But Yurijong ahead wasn't so lucky. Her foot was unfortunately sprained while running. She could only watch as Ganku Shin passed by her, just as she felt deep despair. Ganku Shin turned around and came back. He didn't say much but quickly carried Yurijong on his back and ran outside. The timing was just right. The moment they got out, the dungeon completely collapsed behind them. After resting for a while, the two gradually recovered their composure. At this moment, the system popped up a notification. Congratulations on obtaining 1 skill enhancement. It seemed this was a reward for their good performance. Thank you. I thought I was going to be abandoned again. Actually, I was previously a guide for the Purification Guild. Back then, Guanhyung Che promised me he would take care of every member's safety. But when an accident actually happened, he directly chose to abandon injured companions. Before leaving, he even said things like I was just a toy. If I hadn't been able to form a contract with the space-controlling constellation at that time, you wouldn't be seeing me now. Your luck was really good. Ganku Shin responded. Constellations don't form contracts with hunters for no reason. It must have seen potential in you. Hearing this, Yurijong's mood immediately improved considerably. Thank you. It really is better to speak what's on your mind. Suddenly, Ganku Shin's head throbbed. His body's center of gravity became unstable. Then his head tilted back and he collapsed directly to the ground. Don't worry. This is the after effect of the solace grass. I'll be fine after resting a bit. After hearing this, Yurijong immediately took out a handkerchief to wipe his sweat. Thank you so much today. Let me take care of you now. Some time later, Ganku Shin leisurely walked out of Ground Zero and arrived at Imjingang Station. Before parting, they exchanged contact information, both looking forward to meeting again. With the commission completed, it was time to head to the next place. But an informant reported that Sohui Cha appeared at Seoul Station, preparing to intercept him. It seemed he could only take a long-distance bus to a dungeon near Gwangju. Time came to the afternoon, and Ganku Shin finally arrived at Gwangju bus terminal. As soon as he got off, he saw a group of thugs bullying a gentle-looking girl. He didn't want to get involved, but the girl shouted that those men were all lackeys of the Haeyong Guild. This piqued his interest, because he clearly remembered that the Haeyong Guild was Siwan Jiang's henchmen. Although they had made contributions here, they were essentially still a bunch of scum. Just then, Ganku Shin seemed to discover something. That man's constellation was actually master of tricks. This was a good treasure. Even the dimensional plunderer couldn't help but praise it. So he stopped talking and immediately drew his short blade and charged forward. Hello, guess which one is the real me? Everyone was stunned by this bizarre scene. The lead man tried to counterattack but was blocked by Ganku Shin's shield. What followed was the skilled decapitation. The man died on the spot, and the constellation was successfully transferred. The few people were dumbfounded. The remaining underlings still wanted to resist. They were all instantly killed with one move. After finishing, the woman eagerly greeted him. Thank you for saving me. My name is Hayo Young Jin. Can we exchange contact information? I'll thank you. With that, she directly grabbed his phone and started operating it. Then she hurriedly left. After she left, Gangu Shin directly blocked and deleted her, because he felt it was all too coincidental. His intuition told him this girl was definitely not that simple. After deleting, the dungeon entry time also arrived. Meanwhile, Sohui Cha finally noticed something was wrong and eliminated the informant. From this, she also found the mark of Yeren Li's organization. Anger instantly rose. That bitch Yeren Li really couldn't be trusted. On the other side, Gangu Shin also received news that his informant was killed. He thought to himself, worthy of being the hunting dog Sohui Cha. It seemed he could only work hard to level up in this dungeon. Based on his current level, he needed at least 2 more skills to contend with her. With that, he quickly fought his way to the main boss. This boss was a very powerful monster, especially its skill wind and thunder formation. It could shatter Gangu Shin's clones in an instant. If he used throwing skills, they would definitely be dodged. If he charged directly, he would waste his shield skill. After thinking for a few seconds, Gangu Shin finally came up with a tactic. He quickly released 3 clones to form a surrounding formation, while he himself hid in the shadows waiting for an opportunity. While it was in a daze, Gangu Shin used the grab skill to pull it in front of him. This way, it couldn't use wind and thunder formation. He took this opportunity to use the backstab skill. This way, even if the boss ran back into its formation, it was useless, because it had already been marked by the blood explosion skill. As the boss dissipated, the system notified Gangu Shin he had reached level 51, and learned the assassin exclusive skill stealth. Now that he was prepared, it was time to challenge Sohui Cha to a duel. Sometime later, Sohui Cha had arrived near Gwangju bus terminal and surrounded the station just to prevent Gangu Shin from having a chance to escape. And at this moment, Gangu Shin was just sitting nearby with his stealth skill activated, quietly watching this scene. Long time no see, Sohui Cha. Hearing this familiar voice, she was shocked. but she quickly calmed down, and with her experience quickly locked onto Gang Shin's figure. This way his stealth was useless. Sohui-cha, seeing the skill take effect, showed a triumphant smile. Filthy rat, let's see how you escape this time. Gang Shin saw this constellation's ability and couldn't help but click his tongue. After all, 3 of his skills were now effectively useless. Sohui-cha didn't say much. She directly released a pillar of fire magic. Fortunately, Gang Shin reacted quickly and dodged the attack in time. Facing such an attack, he no longer hesitated and directly consumed Mad Solatium to enhance his abilities, then immediately used shadow clones to surround her. Sohui-cha smiled faintly. With a casual fire dragon magic, she defeated all the clones. Do you understand now? This is the gap in our strength, you're finished. Seeing close combat wasn't working, Gang Shin decisively charged power and fiercely threw his weapon in Sohui-cha's direction. Sohui-cha couldn't help but sneer. What's wrong? Are you so scared you can't even hold your weapon steady? Watch carefully. This is called aiming. With that, 3 fire dragons charged straight at Gang Shin. Gang Shin didn't dodge and took the hit directly. He was waiting for an opportunity, waiting for a chance to make Sohui-cha lower her guard. That's right, using himself as bait. After taking the attack, Gang Shin did a 360-degree aerial spin and landed smoothly. Upon landing, a dagger was stabbed straight into the ground. Sohui-cha, no matter how foolish, knew something was wrong and hurriedly lifted her foot. But it was too late. The wind and thunder formation shot straight up into the sky. At this moment, on top of a building, Hyo-young-jin witnessed the entire battle between the two. She couldn't help but secretly assess Gang Shin's strength. Then seeing Sohui-cha being suppressed, Gang Shin began implementing the next step of his plan, which was to use the grab skill to pull her in front of him and pierce a hole in her body. After piercing the hole, he immediately turned and ran. Then with a snap of his fingers, blood explosions erupted violently all over. As the saying goes, strike while the iron is hot, Gang Shin didn't hesitate and charged right up. Sohui-cha, seeing this situation, finally stopped holding back and directly activated Fire God form and grabbed toward Gang Shin. Fortunately, Gang Shin had his shield on, otherwise he would have been caught. Seeing Sohui-cha didn't succeed, he hurriedly pulled back the distance, then snapped his fingers again. But this time the imagined blood explosions didn't appear. Fool, I've long seen through your little tricks. The wounds on my body have already been cauterized. With that, she condensed a flame vortex in the sky. Then countless flames fell vertically like raindrops. Gang Shin, unable to withstand it, wanted to escape, but Sohui-cha wouldn't let him leave easily. A sword thrust came at him. After blocking the attack, Gang Shin immediately used lateral movement to teleport behind her for a sneak attack. But he was outmaneuvered. Sohui-cha had already seen through his plan. A dagger stabbed directly into his heart, but this was also part of Gang Shin's plan, as his short sword suddenly charged power. The skill decapitation was successfully released. Sohui-cha's arm fell off as a result. Hyo-young-jin in the distance couldn't help but sigh. It seemed to be over, because his reinforcements had arrived. That's right, it was Heir and Lee. They learned of the news and rushed to support in time. Sohui-cha was very angry at this moment, but the situation was lost. After releasing one final strike, she disappeared from the spot. The two were somewhat confused. How did Sohui-cha suddenly disappear? But Gang Shin told them not to stay on guard anymore, because she used the constellation's power to copy the stealth skill and escaped. It had to be said, this skill was somewhat useful. Heir and Lee still wanted to chase after her, but Gang Shin's body had finally reached its limit. He staggered and fainted. On the other side, the fleeing Sohui-cha was ambushed by Hyo-young-jin, who had been lying in wait and was injured again. Sohui-cha looked at this scene incredulously. What do you want to do? Can't you tell? Of course I'm here to kill you. The boss has already abandoned you. At these words, Sohui-cha was stunned. That evening, inside the hospital belonging to the Blue Eyes organization, Gang Shin suddenly opened his eyes and discovered Seo-yeon-han was silently watching over him. He had an indescribable feeling in his heart. Gang Shin ultimately chose to leave without saying goodbye. After leaving the hospital room, he immediately took out his phone and played classical music to enhance his recovery. Just as he was listening intently, his phone suddenly vibrated. It turned out to be a message from Yuri Jung, but her message was somewhat inexplicable. Gang Shin didn't pay attention and put his phone directly into his pocket, then prepared to leave hastily. Before leaving, he greeted Heir and Lee, but didn't greet Seo-yeon-han, because he didn't want to repeat past mistakes. If he got too close, it would definitely recreate the plot from the novel. With that, he prepared to leave, but Heir and Lee stopped him. Don't rush off, I have something to tell you. Gang Shin didn't mind. Go ahead, what is it? The identity of that corpse you encountered at Ground Zero is difficult to verify. It's very likely forged, so it will take a bit more time to investigate. Gang Shin said no problem after hearing this. There's one more thing, Eclipse. Eclipse hasn't made any big moves recently, which might mean they're plotting something. After hearing this, Gang Shin thought for a moment. What about Sohui-cha? She's probably already been dealt with. After all, Dongyeong Gang is that kind of ruthless person. I see, this news was definitely good for him. At least he didn't have to worry about being hunted anymore. Now that the Sohui-cha incident was over, It was time to accept the Dimensional Plunderer's trial. However, before starting, the constellation kindly reminded Gangu Shin that this test might endanger his life. Gangu Shin grinned. Please begin. The constellation could only helplessly start the test, and Gangu Shin's body then turned into data and slowly disappeared. When he opened his eyes again, he'd arrived in an unfamiliar environment. This was a huge viewing stand, with countless blue figures densely packed in the audience seats. It made his scalp tingle. Then the Dimensional Plunderer officially announced the rules of the test. Welcome everyone to my contractor's test site. If you find this interesting, please lend your holy power to him. Of course, if he fails, the holy power will be fully returned. And his opponent this time is a hunter from another dimension, personally chosen by the contractor. Gangu Shin thought for a few seconds. This test seemed to give him the right to choose. But to pass the test, he must gain the constellation's approval, so an easy opponent definitely wouldn't satisfy them. So Gangu Shin calmly said a name. Just as he finished speaking, the space was immediately torn apart. The constellations were all stunned when they saw who appeared. But soon this shock slowly turned into appreciation. An endless stream of holy power began flowing in. That's right, the person who appeared was Siwan Jiang from another dimension. Facing this kind of monster, Gangu Shin didn't hesitate at all, and directly pulled out Mad Solasium. You're not some kind of addict, are you, eating something like that? Tell me your level, Gangu Shin calmly replied. Level 47. Hearing this number, Siwan Jiang couldn't help but scorn. Are you sure you want to fight me, someone over level 800? Gangu Shin didn't speak, just looked on calmly. In that case, I'll add a restriction on myself. This time I'll only use 2 constellations. Sure enough, this guy wouldn't waste an opportunity to show off in front of the constellations. Then let the duel begin. Before Gangu Shin could even react, a black magic bullet pierced through his shield. Gangu Shin barely had time to react. He also clearly knew that Siwan Jiang had deliberately missed. It was just a warning shot. Damn it, did that skill have no windup? Though he cursed inwardly a few times, his body instantly entered combat mode. Siwan Jiang didn't say much and condensed deep purple flames in his hands once again. Gangu Shin barely dodged it. Seeing that the flames were ineffective, Siwan Jiang then used an even more powerful wind arrow spell. Fortunately, Gangu Shin had the rapid evasion skill, otherwise he would have died. He'd been using dark magic barrage from the very beginning. It seemed that Siwan Jiang's first constellation was the Seeker of Darkness, which prevented the host from being consumed by dark energy. In response, Gangu Shin didn't give up but used his acceleration skill to quickly dash right in front of him, then immediately used his grab skill. But this was completely useless against Siwan Jiang, so Gangu Shin decisively used Phantom Technique for close-range attacks. Siwan Jiang wasn't flustered at all. With one spatial jump, he disappeared from the spot. That's right, this was Siwan Jiang's second constellation, the Spatial Guide. After understanding his 2 constellations, there was actually one way to win: force him to use his 3rd constellation. That way he would break his promise and lose face in front of the constellations. However, forcing out his 3rd constellation was still very difficult, considering there was a level gap of over 700. Gangu Shin could only look for opportunities to launch sneak attacks while dodging, but Siwan Jiang's attack speed was just too fast. Soon he was hit in the back. A burst of purple smoke exploded immediately. Fortunately, Gangu Shin had the skill to recover by listening to music. However, he couldn't take another attack like that. It seemed the only option was to use the heart-seeing method. With that, Gangu Shin closed his eyes. Siwan Jiang grinned, then continued releasing dark energy. But this attack surprisingly didn't hit. Siwan Jiang was stunned, but the only response he got was Gangu Shin's faint smile. On the other side, at the Abyss Organization headquarters, Hyun-Suk Lee seemed to have heard some shocking news and was greatly alarmed. The man before him bowed his head in shame and apologized repeatedly. "I'm sorry, Hyun-Suk Hyung, Dongjae has been kidnapped. This is my failure." At first glance, the man seemed to be sincerely apologizing, but in reality, he was the culprit. He wanted to eliminate everyone who affected him, including Song Mi-yoon. Meanwhile, Siwan Jiang couldn't believe that Gangu Shin could dodge his attacks, so he condensed even more energy orbs. Gangu Shin still didn't open his eyes because he needed to sense the attacks through the magical energy in the air. Sure enough, Gangu Shin dodged all the attacks again. Seeing this scene, the constellations couldn't help but praise Gangu Shin's actions, and they invested more and more holy power. Watching the holy power gauge about to overflow, Siwan Jiang finally sensed something was wrong. Even his spellcasting became slightly panicked, and it was this moment of panic that Gangu Shin caught. With one grab, he pulled him right in front of him, then followed up with a decapitation. Caught off guard, Siwan Jiang was forced to use his 3rd constellation. "Looks like you've given up on the restrictions you set for yourself. I won." Hearing this, Siwan Jiang became furious, and his expression turned terrifying. Seeing that Siwan Jiang was truly angry, Gangu Shin quickly pulled back. "So? You wouldn't go back on your word, would you? What trick did you pull? How could I not see an assassin who isn't even level 50? I simply used stealth." Siwan Jiang scoffed dismissively. "Stop bullshitting. Aren't you level 47? Isn't stealth only available to level 50 assassins?" "You're right. Stealth is indeed a level 50 assassin skill. But why would you believe what I said?" The constellations below lost their composure after hearing this. "So clever. Know yourself and your enemy and you'll never be defeated." Siwan Jiang finally couldn't hold back. "I admit I underestimated you. So are you ready to face my wrath?" This move was called Great Red Flame, Siwan Jiang's ultimate skill. The explosion's range was enough to cover the entire arena. Fortunately, the Dimensional Predator blocked the attack in time. "The test is over. You've completed your duty. Go back." With that, a space-time rift quietly appeared and sucked Siwon Jang in. Congratulations on completing the test, contractor. The holy power provided by the constellations will be converted into your experience points. Furthermore, my fusion with you will deepen. Return with your new authority. In the blink of an eye, Ganggu Shin was successfully transported back. At this point, Ganggu Shin's level had reached 101, and he had also gained new authority. Suddenly, 3 more pop-ups appeared. You have reached level 100. Constellation Betting Master will provide you with a betting opportunity. Seeing this message, Ganggu Shin remembered that there was indeed such a thing. Might as well pick one randomly. Congratulations, you have obtained skill copy 1 time, which allows you to copy 1 skill from another hunter with 100% success. This made Ganggu Shin secretly delighted, because he thought of a candidate, though unfortunately he was still in country A. Just then, Yeren Lee called. Eclipse hasn't been making any moves lately. How about taking a simple commission during this time? A commission about collecting amethyst. Ganggu Shin had no reason to refuse, so he agreed. The next day, Ganggu Shin arrived at the commission location as promised, and with the skill Bloodthorn, 1 strike yielded a huge pile of amethyst, stunning everyone. At this moment, a bully who had long been oppressing workers noticed this scene. He immediately pulled out an iron rod, preparing to threaten him to work more. Naturally, Ganggu Shin wouldn't let them succeed, and was just about to pull out his dagger to resist. A gunshot suddenly rang out. The bullies were caught off guard, and before they could react further, another sharp arrow flew in. One underling was shot in the head with an arrow and died on the spot. Damn it, who is it? Come out! Then 2 masked figures slowly walked out. Ganggu Shin recognized them at a glance, so he decisively joined the fight. After dealing with them, the man said to Ganggu Shin, "What a coincidence, Mr. Ganggu Shin. This person was none other than Seiyuk Jeon, captain of the Seiyuk Jeon team. They were dedicated to liberating oppressed hunters. Since they always appeared and eliminated oppressors without a word, they were called the adjudicator of silence by people. But in the end of the novel, they still died at the hands of Dongyeon gang. But how did you know my name? Oh right, I forgot to explain. I heard it from an informant on Eclipse's side. I didn't expect you could beat So Hui Cha so badly. News travels that fast? If possible, I'd like to exchange contact information with you." The two naturally agreed. After exchanging contact information, Seiyuk Jeon reminded Ganggu Shin to be careful because Eclipse would definitely not give up. The next day, Ganggu Shin hurriedly arrived at Hongshan in Gangwon province. Sang Mi-yeon came to fulfill her promise, which was to take him to meet Hyun-Sok Lee, the leader of Abyss. After some twists and turns, they finally reached Abyss headquarters safely. The security here was indeed very tight. Just then, Hyun-Sok Lee, the leader of Abyss, walked over and greeted with a smile. "Long time no see, Sang-mi. By the way, who is this?" Sang Mi-yeon came to her senses. "This is my guest." "Oh, a guest. Then please wait here for a moment." Ganggu Shin didn't mind. But wasn't this wait a moment a bit too long? Wasn't this basically confinement? However, Ganggu Shin clearly understood why they were doing this. Because this was exactly when Dong-jae was kidnapped. On the other side, Sang Mi-yeon couldn't believe her ears. "What did you say? Dong-jae was kidnapped?" No wonder everyone was acting strange. "By the way, should we commission Ganggu Shin?" He was introduced by a trustworthy intermediary. Hyun-Sok Lee hesitated. But in the end, he agreed. After all, commissioning him was better than just worrying anxiously. "I've heard about the situation. What do you need from me?" Ganggu Shin got straight to the point. "I want to get support from Abyss." Hyun-Sok Lee was stunned. "Not join, but want to get support? You should know, the world's opinion of us isn't good, and we've been opposed to the Purification Guild for a long time. Getting our support isn't a good choice." Ganggu Shin immediately replied, "The fact that you've persisted this long proves you have sufficient strength, doesn't it?" This reverse thinking left Hyun-Sok Lee stunned. "This is exactly why I came to you. Although others fear you, you can be a solid backing, and the treatment you'd give me would definitely be better than other guilds." After listening, Hyun-Sok Lee pondered for a moment. "You're indeed impressive, not using flattery to please me, but as commander-in-chief, it's hard for me to trust you." Ganggu Shin was stunned, but quickly understood what he meant, so he immediately drove off, preparing to rescue Dong-jae. As commander, it's hard to trust, but as a family member of the hostage, that's another matter, right? If he rescued Dong-jae, Hyun-Sok Lee should reconsider, and internal conflicts could be resolved then. So without further ado, Ganggu Shin soon arrived at the Liberation Zone in Gimshin. He also wanted to test his new authority. When night came, Ganggu Shin used stealth to quietly infiltrate the building. According to his knowledge, Siwon-jang should send Tae-sok Shin for the exchange, which would be when defenses were weakest. Sure enough, when Tae-sok Shin arrived, everyone rushed forward to greet him without daring to slack. This was the opportunity. Ganggu Shin immediately used acceleration skill to pass through layers of guards, finally reaching a basement, though this basement seemed to have no guards. Just as Ganggu Shin was thinking this, a massive figure suddenly appeared. This was Bezumie. Before Ganggu Shin could think more, Bezumie threw a punch. Fortunately, Ganggu Shin was agile or he would have been smashed into a meat patty. After dodging this strike, he hastily activated stealth to escape, but this guy could actually track Ganggu Shin's presence by smell. Ganggu Shin now just wanted to curse his past self who wrote this character. But now wasn't the time to fight, he had to rush in quickly. After all, Tae-sok Shin was already on his way, and this monster couldn't be dealt with in a short time. Suddenly, Ganggu Shin had a brilliant idea, which was to lure Bezumie to help break down the door. By the time Tae-sok Shin and the others came up, Gang Shin had already slipped inside. However, this little kidnapper had kept some tricks up his sleeve. He'd actually placed 2 Bezumiais next to Dongjae. Seeing this, Gang Shin couldn't help but curse. At this moment, Dongjae looked at the man who suddenly appeared before him, very confused. Before he could speak, Gang Shin pulled out a phone from his pocket. On the phone was Hyunsuk Lee's identity barcode. Just then, the Bezumie nearby sensed Gang Shin's presence and swung an axe toward him. Against this kind of monster, Gang Shin could only helplessly dodge, while Dongjae kept looking for an opportunity to cast his enhancement skill. The moment Gang Shin used his acceleration skill, Dongjae seized the timing and cast an enhancement directly on Gang Shin. Gang Shin grinned. Then, with one flash step, he bypassed the 2 Bezumies. So now it's time to retreat. As for the method, of course it was using the 4th authority, teleportation. The Black Skull Guild leader who rushed over caught nothing but air. His grand ambitions vanished just like that. On the other side, they successfully teleported outside. After a long while, Dongjae realized he hadn't thanked him yet. Thank you for saving me. If not for you, I would have lost my life, Gang Shin replied calmly. Now isn't the time to talk about that. I want you to help me with something. Meanwhile, on the other side, Yusak Moon received a strange message. We might be under surveillance. Turn off your phone immediately after reading this. Also, the operation plan has changed. Bring Hyunsuk Lee to the location I marked. Yusak Moon smiled faintly, then immediately called Hyunsuk Lee and informed him it was a small gang called Black Skull Guild who did the kidnapping. They said they could release Dongjae, but he had to personally bring money to a location. After hearing this, Hyunsuk Lee agreed on the spot, then immediately got up to head to the destination. Sometime later, inside an abandoned factory in the Eastern District, Yusak Moon walked slowly toward the tied-up Dongjae Park with his hands in his pockets. Wasn't this handled nicely? Sorry, Dongjae. Blame it on having that kind of uncle. Hearing Yusak Moon say such words, Gang Shin emerged from the shadows. Sang Mi-yoon also slowly walked in from outside. What a shame. I was hoping those two were mistaken. Even if Yusak Moon was stupid, he understood now. Just as he tried to reach out and grab Dongjae, Dongjae turned and ran behind Gang Shin. Do you have anything else to say? I've already recorded your words. Hearing this, Yusak Moon's expression changed drastically. Why would you do this? Isn't being Abyss's second-in-command enough to satisfy you? Yusak Moon got even angrier after hearing this. Stop joking around. We clearly have premium dungeons, equipment, and powerful strength, so why waste those things on opposing the Purification Guild? In outsiders' eyes, aren't we just like a criminal organization? It's not too late now. I just need to eliminate you all. With that, he pulled out a handgun. But before the bullet could fly out, his right hand was cut off by Hyunsuk Lee, who had arrived. Hyunsuk Lee didn't hesitate at all and pierced him through with one strike. Yusak Moon could only die filled with grief and anger. The matter was finally resolved perfectly. Hyunsuk Lee had everyone return. He wanted to personally thank Gang Shin. Sometime later, everyone successfully returned to Abyss headquarters. As soon as Dongjae got home, he immediately threw himself onto the bed. Sang Mi-yoon chatted with him. As for Gang Shin, he was naturally invited by Hyunsuk Lee to the reception room. Thank you again for saving my nephew Dongjae, though it's a bit shameless to say this. May I respond again to your earlier proposal? Gang Shin nodded. But before that, I need to confirm something. Did you really come to us at Abyss only for personal gain? Gang Shin was stunned. What do you mean? You rooting out the traitor for me feels off, as if you were thinking of Abyss's interests. This caught Gang Shin off guard. Thinking back, he had indeed interfered too much. He could only reply half-heartedly. As an opponent of the Purification Guild, I do hope Abyss stays strong. After all, you're a great help to me, but I have reasons why I must keep my distance. After listening, Hyunsuk Lee nodded silently. I see. Your answer is acceptable to me. If you want to talk to me privately, just use this token. Gang Shin didn't hesitate and took it directly. Seeing Gang Shin accept it, Hyunsuk Lee turned and left. The next day, after finishing his business, Gang Shin prepared to leave. Before leaving, Dongjae thanked him again for saving his life. The two successfully exchanged contact information. After exchanging, Gang Shin turned and left. But after just 2 steps, his phone started buzzing. It was Yerin Lee calling. She had found the identity of that corpse at Ground Zero. He was from the Purification Guild and frequently appeared at one place. That was the VIP exchange, and his guardian was actually the exchange's owner, Bokwak Kang. So Gang Shin hurriedly came to the exchange. Here he witnessed the level of security at the exchange. He also saw a familiar person. Wasn't this Yuri Jong? Then the two sat down and chatted casually. As soon as she sat down, Yuri Jong complained, "Why didn't you reply to me? I've been waiting for your response." Only after she said this did Gang Shin remember. He immediately panicked. However, Yuri Jong wasn't angry. Instead, she took out that mad silesium and gave it to Gang Shin. Gang Shin didn't hesitate and took it directly. Then Yuri Jong took out quite a few ordinary silesiums from her space and said these were cultivated by her grandfather. Hearing they were cultivated by her grandfather, Gang Shin completely lost his composure. As far as he knew, there was only one person in the world who could cultivate silesiums, and that was Master K. He had actually become Yuri Jong's grandfather. It seemed the plot had already been changed. I was able to become family with grandfather thanks to you. Gang Shin was a bit confused. If I hadn't met you before, I probably wouldn't have been able to trust grandfather who wanted to help me, thanks to you helping me rebuild trust in others. Hearing this, Gang Shin smiled. That's a good thing then. At least you wouldn't die in vain like in the previous life. By the way, what are you doing here? Yuri Jong replied. Of course I came to see grandmother. Gang Shin was somewhat puzzled. My grandmother is the owner of this exchange. Just after saying this, Bokwak Kang walked out. She brought the two to the corpse and explained, "This child was someone I always looked after. He always dreamed of becoming a hunter. One day he suddenly received an olive branch from the Purification Guild. He was very happy. Though I was happy too, I was actually reluctant to see him leave. But that was the best guild after all, so I could only congratulate him. I don't know why he died in a place like Ground Zero." After hearing this, their expressions changed dramatically. It was indeed the Purification Guild's doing. Gang Guxin then took out the weapon that was in the corpse's hand and gave it to Bokwa Kang. Bokwa Kang recognized it at a glance. This was the congratulatory gift she had given him. Sensing Gang Guxin's sincerity, Bokwa Kang had her subordinate bring an item. When he saw this item, Gang Guxin was completely stunned. This weapon was impeccable in both stats and attributes, worth at least 50 billion. Gang Guxin confirmed multiple times, "Can I really accept this?" Bokwa Kang said, "Of course." After speaking, she looked at Yuri Zhong, instantly recalling their granddaughter who had passed away. Then she reached out and hugged Yuri Zhong. "You must come visit more often when you're free." Yuri Zhong readily agreed. Some time later, the two walked down the stairs. At this moment, Yuri Zhong felt extremely angry. This must have been done by the Purification Guild. Gang Guxin told her to calm down. At least they couldn't move against them now. Yuri Zhong could only sigh helplessly. Gang Guxin thought again. Perhaps he could learn information about mana allergy. So he suggested visiting her grandfather's home. Yuri Zhong didn't hesitate at all and immediately agreed. Sometime later, they arrived at a location in Ground Zero. Gang Guxin saw many herbs here. Of course, he also saw what Master K looked like. Master K was very welcoming when he saw guests. "First, let me thank you for helping Yuri and my wife. Oh, and that young man. We just met not long ago." This immediately caught Gang Guxin's attention. "What did he come here for?" Master K replied. "He said his guild wanted to buy medicinal herbs, but I refused." Gang Guxin thought for a moment. There was only one possibility. He was being used by someone. "By the way, could you examine my body?" K said of course no problem, then took his pulse. After finishing, he completely lost his composure. Meanwhile, So Hui Cha was still found by Hyo Young Jin during her escape. The two fell into a great battle, but So Hui Cha was injured after all, and could only use the same old trick. She stole Hyo Young Jin's stealth skill and tactically retreated. Sometime later, So Hui Cha escaped to a hidden location again, continuously cursing that damned bitch in her heart. Just then, footsteps were slowly approaching. So Hui Cha immediately became alert, but the other party had no ill intent. Instead, he politely handed over a business card. This person was none other than Taesok Shin from the Purification Guild. The Purification Guild would like to invite you for a visit. On the other side, Master K fell into deep thought after the examination. "I've studied cases of buff skill allergies before, but this is the first time I've seen your type." Gang Guxin could see K's difficulty. He knew very well this condition couldn't be cured. After all, this was a restriction set to prevent Gang Guxin from surpassing the protagonist. Just then, Yuri Zhong finished making dinner and came to notify them. Though wasn't this portion comparison a bit too exaggerated? During the meal, Master K gave a suggestion to go check out the limitless mana dungeon. But now that dungeon was occupied by Eclipse. It required a lot of mana to enter. Even their boss couldn't get in. Gang Guxin didn't mind. He was determined to go to this dungeon. After all, the higher the risk, the greater the reward. By evening, the three had almost finished eating and Gang Guxin prepared to leave. Before leaving, Master K gave 2 pills to Gang Guxin, saying these were concentrated silicium. Gang Guxin gratefully accepted them. After greeting the two, he hurriedly left. Yuri Zhong also tidied up and prepared for bed. After she left, a black shadow suddenly appeared. This person's every word and action was filled with authority. The next day, Gang Guxin came to that unlimited dungeon, only to find it had been converted into a KTV. Just then, a familiar figure noticed Gang Guxin who was looking around. This person was Hyo Young Jin. Gang Guxin was stunned for a moment. He knew this girl definitely wasn't simple, but he really didn't expect she was from Eclipse. And her level was at least 200. However, Gang Guxin didn't make a fuss. "I heard this club has a special dungeon." Hyo Young Jin didn't deny it. "That's right. You're really well informed. The entrance is in the underground parking lot, but there's a protective barrier." Just as Gang Guxin was pondering how to infiltrate, Hyo Young Jin spoke. "As thanks for last time, I can help you enter the protective barrier." Then she showed a calm smile. Actually, she wanted to catch him in a trap. She was certain Gang Guxin didn't have enough mana as an entry ticket, since even their boss couldn't succeed. So Hyo Young Jin walked all the way with her arm around Gang Guxin, encountering no obstacles, and smoothly opened the protective barrier. Then just let Gang Guxin walk straight into the dungeon. Just then, Eclipse's boss Dong Yeon Gang appeared. He didn't waste words and directly hit with a mana bullet. Fortunately, Gang Guxin had a shield. Facing this kind of attack, Gang Guxin knew he couldn't withstand many hits, so he decisively took medicine. After taking medicine, Gang Guxin's mana surged, and soon reached the mana required for entry. The door opened as a result. This made Dong Yeon Gang's attack miss completely. Inside the dungeon, Gang Guxin was now exhausted and collapsed on the ground, but the monsters in the dungeon didn't seem to want to give him time to rest. They rushed at him one after another. Looking closely, they were just a group of low-level slimes. This put Gang Guxin at ease. He killed the small slime with one sword strike. After beating the small one, the big one came out as expected. But Gang Guxin wasn't flustered at all. With one flash step, he appeared right in front of it, and pierced its core with one sword. The poor Slime King died just like that. It even dropped a carmine crystal. Gang Guxin picked it up directly, and plundered its skill. It looked quite useful, but the slogan was a bit peculiar. After plundering the skill, Gang Guxin continued forward. Soon he arrived at a place full of herbs. and couldn't help thinking. That old man really didn't lie. The unlimited dungeon really does have rare herbs. In that case, he'd take them all. After all, why not take what's free? Just as he pulled one out, a mound of earth suddenly emerged behind him. Ganku Shin was startled. He hastily prepared for battle. Looking closely, he discovered all the herbs were actually growing on a turtle's back. This saved Ganku Shin the time of searching. Meanwhile, Master K was chatting with that man from before. I sent that young man there to find herbs not just for your illness, but also for another type of herb. It's something the Purification Guild wants to trade for. These words were overheard by Yuri Jong, who was eavesdropping outside the door. Upon hearing the 4 words Purification Guild, she immediately felt her teeth itch. She never expected grandfather would actually want to trade with the Purification Guild. Far away in the dungeon, Gangu Shin had no idea what was happening outside. At this moment, he was tallying what herbs he still lacked. Most had been collected, but a few were still missing. Just then, an oval-shaped object suddenly smashed toward Gangu Shin. Gangu Shin detected it in time and quickly dodged. It was the main boss of this dungeon, and its strength seemed quite formidable, and the remaining undiscovered herbs were all on its body. This was even better. The herbs were gathered in one place. The boss launched the first attack, but Gangu Shin dodged them all using his acceleration skill. Having dodged all attacks, Gangu Shin smoothly reached directly beneath the boss, then thrust his sword down. The boss died on the spot. The skill was subsequently plundered by Gangu Shin. After claiming all rewards, the dungeon began to collapse. At this time, outside the door, Dongyang Gang ordered Eclipse's subordinates to aim machine guns at the entrance. As soon as Gangu Shin came out, they would all open fire. Suddenly, a purple light flashed, and a figure vaguely emerged from it. It was Gangu Shin. Seeing it was Gangu Shin, everyone opened fire together. Instantly, countless bullets came flying. In response, Gangu Shin wasn't flustered at all. He said softly, "Come out, little cutie." Just as he finished speaking, a slime suddenly appeared and blocked all the attacks. Seeing bullets were useless, Dongyang Gang prepared to act himself. An energy cannon fired straight at the slime, but the time was just right. Gangu Shin directly used teleportation. As for the destination, it was naturally Master K's villa. Just after teleporting here, the after effects of Gangu Shin's medicine consumption emerged. Seeing this, Yuri Jong hurriedly supported him. Gangu Shin said he was fine and could call Master K over. Hearing Gangu Shin wanted to see K, Yuri Jong immediately panicked. "Before that, I have something to tell you. Come to my room first." In the room, Yuri Zhang told Gangu Shin everything she had just overheard. Gangu Shin was somewhat puzzled. No wonder he specifically emphasized Biorante. Just then, Master K pushed the door open and walked in. "It seems you already know. It's just like what you had my granddaughter investigate." After hearing this, Yuri Zhang's face was filled with shame. Then she immediately apologized. Master K said it was fine, being a bit vigilant was normal. Then he explained why he did this. "My purpose in trading with them is to investigate why they need this herb." Gangu Shin smiled faintly. "Then you must tell me when you have results." The next day, Gangu Shin said goodbye to everyone and left. Sitting in the car, Gangu Shin began thinking about the next plan. That was the 100-person dungeon, organized by the Purification Guild, also known as Hell of Judgment. Gangu Shin remembered very clearly. Siwan Zhang encountered an opportunity in that dungeon and gained tremendous growth. But in this life, it was no longer possible, because Gangu Shin was going to steal his opportunity. Meanwhile, in the Purification Guild headquarters building, So Hui-cha sat calmly in a chair, conversing with this man before her who was praised like a god. Siwan Zhang didn't waste words. "Do you know this man? I hope you can tell me his information. In return, I'll give you appropriate compensation." So Hui-cha smiled faintly. "I only want one thing, and that's revenge." "That's perfect. Welcome to the Purification Guild. Now let's discuss this man in depth." So Hui-cha was tactful. At first I thought he was quite mediocre, but his growth speed was truly astonishing. And as an assassin, he could use skills that only mages should be able to use. Siwan Zhang was stunned. So he learned through skill books? So Hui-cha didn't tell him everything. After all, one must keep something back. "I don't know about that. You've passed the assessment. Go complete your first mission. I hope you can distinguish yourself in Hell of Judgment. Confirm the list." After looking at it, So Hui-cha was directly stunned. But soon her expression became terrifying. Because she saw both her enemies were on it, this was a perfect opportunity for revenge. A few days later, 100 hunters gathered at the Pandemonium of Justice entrance. Among them was naturally Gangu Shin. And there was also a shameless woman. Despite having ambushed him with others last time, she now wore a fawning expression and begged Gangu Shin to take her along. Gangu Shin didn't make a fuss and chose to agree. So next, it was time to enter the dungeon. The first batch to enter were all external hunters, and Gangu Shin knew clearly they were here to scout the path. But this group naively believed the Salvation Guild was letting them claim the rewards first. This led to deaths and injuries among them. In the end, only 4 survived. The remaining 2 didn't dare venture deeper and decisively chose to flee. So next, only the 2 of them remained. Hayo Young-jin wanted to use seduction tactics, but Gangu Shin saw through it immediately, and his dagger plunged straight into her body. "Acting for so long, did you really think I couldn't tell? Give my regards to Dongyang Gang." Hyo Young-jin's face showed distress. after fainting. She disappeared from the spot. When she reappeared, she was already prepared to ambush from behind, but this little trick had long been seen through by Gang Shin. A slash struck fiercely toward Hyo Jin's cheek. Hyo Jin looked at everything happening before her in disbelief. Knowing she was no match for Gang Shin, she decisively jumped off the cliff to escape. Gang Shin wanted to use his grab skill but failed to catch her. He could only silently regret not obtaining her constellation, but it was better to first claim Siwon Zhang's opportunity. In the novel, Siwon Zhang learned that only one person could obtain the opportunity in this dungeon, so he killed everyone without hesitation, ultimately proving that only he was qualified to obtain it. But now this opportunity belonged to Gang Shin. Just as Gang Shin clenched his fist, a mass of black energy slowly enveloped him. The system also popped up a notification. Congratulations on obtaining the hidden skill Black Moon Rend and new ability Dark Force. Dark Force was Siwon Zhang's signature skill in his previous life, and it was an extremely powerful existence among many hidden skills. But Dark Force had a fatal flaw. It had significant side effects. However, Siwon Zhang had a constellation that could perfectly offset the side effects. Even if Gang Shin had this skill, he couldn't use it frequently. Since he had obtained the opportunity, it was time to continue clearing the dungeon. After some time, a monster sitting on a throne appeared before Gang Shin. It was the mini-boss of the dungeon, the Judge Aelrose. The boss's eyes released intense white light. Gang Shin had no way to avoid it and was forced into a mental illusion. Zombie-like monsters kept appearing around him. Even his friends were simulated. This made Gang Shin briefly stunned. His panic caused countless monsters to swarm toward him. Just as he was about to be devoured, a pool of blood gushed out. It was Gang Shin who stabbed himself. After all, he suddenly remembered he had that inconspicuous constellation. Coming to his senses, Gang Shin slowly rose to deal with the monster. The monster shot out white light again. Gang Shin used the same trick, plunging his sword into his thigh. But the glutton of bloodthirst effect didn't trigger. It turned out this constellation wanted to threaten him to liberate it from the Dimension Marauder's body after the battle ended. Otherwise, it wouldn't give Gang Shin its ability. He could only agree under duress. The illusion was thus dispelled. So next came the boss's demise. Without hesitation, he killed the boss instantly with a throw. After the monster died, he not only absorbed its skill but also collected Dark Force. The skill was a mental defense type. Besides this, the boss also dropped an equipment called the Warped Contract. He smiled faintly. Then he spread out the contract and pressed his handprint on it. Then he turned to the glutton of bloodthirst and smiled, saying, "I will fulfill my promise to liberate you from the Dimension Marauder." Meanwhile, on the other side, Siwon Zhang finally passed through layers of obstacles to reach the boss room. A massive, pitch-black monster stared at them menacingly. This was the super boss of this dungeon, Argus. Siwon Zhang smiled faintly, said nothing more, and directly unleashed his ultimate skill, Great Red Flame, wanting a quick victory. Everyone was eager to try and on high alert. Only Guan Yongche noticed that Sohui Cha had disappeared, and couldn't help cursing inwardly, what a bitch. And at this moment, Sohui Cha was naturally taking revenge. On her way here, she had discovered Hyo Jin hiding here waiting for rescue. Full health Sohui Cha versus low health Hyo Jin. The result was predictable. On the other side, Siwon Zhang and his group, despite giving their all, still hadn't caused any substantial damage to the boss. Instead, any casual strike from the boss could instantly kill the entire raid team. Seeing the situation, Siwon Zhang held back no longer and decisively unleashed Dark Force. Seeing this, Guan Yongche hurriedly ordered the survivors to retreat to avoid collateral damage. At this moment, a size 43 large foot suddenly appeared on the cliff. This person was Gang Shin, who slowly signed the glutton of bloodthirst's name on that worn contract. The contract's content was precisely that it could forcibly designate a target's constellation to exchange with one's own constellation, except that some abilities of one's own constellation would disappear, and there was also a usage limit. Seeing this contract, the glutton of bloodthirst finally became afraid and begged Gang Shin not to reduce its abilities. Gang Shin smiled faintly. "Isn't this what you requested? Besides, I don't need you anymore now." With that, he wrote down Siwon Zhang's pure black seeker as the contract target. In just an instant, the contract took effect. Almost at the same time, Siwon Zhang only felt his chest burn, and a mouthful of blood gushed out. "Your contract with Constellation Pure Black Seeker has been terminated. Constellation Glutton of Bloodthirst has been bound as your main constellation." Seeing this situation, although Siwon Zhang had doubts, he had no time to think about the reasons and immediately tried to cancel, condensing Dark Force. Otherwise, his fate would only be one thing: death. But because he had condensed far too much before, Siwon Zhang tried several times and failed. Gradually, the backlash of Dark Force began to erode his body. Unfortunately, the out-of-control Dark Force didn't kill Siwon Zhang and Guan Yongche. This made Gang Shin sigh. Truly worthy of the protagonist group, they didn't die even facing such an attack. However, such a powerful person didn't become strong through his own efforts, but through sacrificing others, even pushing the entire world into the abyss. Precisely because all this was taken for granted by him, this experience of having things stolen would definitely deal him a huge blow. After doing all this, Gang Shin used instant teleportation to leave the battlefield to avoid sudden changes. The next day, news about only 20 out of 120 people coming out alive immediately trended worldwide, and Siwon Zhang was forced to come out and explain. But of course, he wouldn't admit his mistake led to the deaths of many hunters. Instead, he glossed over it with talk of numerous maze traps. He even claimed the remaining dozen people were all desperately saved by him. With this maneuver, the clueless civilian audience indeed expressed regret, and even called Siwan Jang a hero. While watching from the sidelines, Gang Shin felt somewhat speechless. It was clearly him who killed everyone. He was such a good actor, it would be unjustifiable not to give him an Oscar. Taking this opportunity, Siwan Jang also introduced two alliance partners. One was the Guildmaster of Fortuna Casey, the other was the Vice Guildmaster of Divine Legion Chonghua Yu. They promised to jointly conquer the world's ultra-high difficulty dungeons in the future. After listening, Gang Shin felt something was wrong. It seemed Siwan Jang was going to gather the members of the 13 Stars. Unexpectedly, though seemingly pushed into a corner, he could cleverly transform it into an opportunity, truly not an opponent who could be easily defeated. On the other side, Eclipse boss Dongyan Gang was watching the TV report intently. At this moment, a subordinate was pushing a suitcase in. Opening it, it was Hyo-young Jin, who had been burned to charcoal. Dongyan Gang showed no sadness but directly removed the brooch from the corpse and ordered his subordinates to push Hyo-young Jin straight to the crematorium. Then he came to the TV and connected a USB interface to the brooch. That's right, this was a hidden camera, and the footage clearly recorded everything that happened, as well as scenes of a large number of people dying due to Siwan Jang's mistake. Dongyan Gang smiled faintly. How interesting, it turns out the one who committed the massacre wasn't the main boss but Siwan Jang. This thing should earn quite a bit of money. No sooner said than done, so the next morning, Siwan Jang received a video sent by Dongyan Gang. However, Siwan Jang wasn't panicked at all but calmly dialed a number. Your subordinate is quite interesting. The true Guildmaster of Eclipse. The man on the other end of the phone was obviously flustered and hurriedly explained it wasn't his instruction. He was just a figurehead guildmaster. He didn't participate in the guild's operations at all. Give me some time, I'll talk to that guy. Siwan Jang's expression was cold. No need. Does a dog that bites its master need pity? He should be taken to the slaughterhouse. Don't interfere in this matter. Without waiting for a response, Siwan Jang hung up directly. After hanging up, Siwan Jang leaned back in his chair somewhat irritably and pondered silently. From the current situation, the one who took the pure black seeker and recorded the rampage video was 100% Sohui Cha, and after this incident, Dongyan Gang sent a threatening video as if it was premeditated. So Dongyan Gang was the mastermind behind all this. His initial goal was the pure black seeker. On the other side, Yeren Li summoned Gang Shin for a meeting. The meeting content was roughly that Eclipse was about to be finished. It was time to attack Chongmyong detention camp. Gang Shin wasn't too surprised. In fact, even without this siege, that guy Siwan Jang would also move to destroy it. However, for Gang Shin, this might be an opportunity to seize a constellation. So he decisively agreed to Yeren Li's team invitation. As for the strategy, it was for Blue Eyes to attract attention outside, then let Gang Shin secretly infiltrate to assassinate Dongyan Gang. At these words, Seok Jeon, who had been silent for a long time, finally voiced his opinion. I think the probability of a successful infiltration is really too small. Since Gang Shin escaped last time, the camp's security has multiplied several times and all the remaining members of Eclipse are gathered there now. Gang Shin is a symbol to us who have suffered deeply from Eclipse's persecution. We cannot push someone who escaped with their life back into that kind of hell. After listening, Gang Shin slowly stood up. So you're afraid. If you hesitate when opportunity is at hand, you'll never be able to take down Dongyan Gang. The reason I want to return to the concentration camp is to completely sever the past I've been escaping and take revenge on Dongyan Gang. Even if you don't take action, I'll go. Those who want to come with me can follow, but I won't change my mind. Seyuk, Jeon's sister Seong-jeon, was greatly moved after hearing this. Actually, there's another way to infiltrate. Unexpectedly, as soon as she said this, Seyuk Jeon immediately interrupted in a heavy voice. But looking at his sister's expression, he couldn't bear it after all and revealed the only method. Actually, a long time ago, I planted an insider in the concentration camp, originally planning to use this trump card when I had absolute certainty. But even with an insider's help, a combination of one assassin and two snipers can't break through internally to get close to Dongyan Gang. As Seyuk Jeon said, this team indeed had flaws. Not only was there no buffer, but also no mage or warrior. Yeren Li wanted to volunteer for the mage position, but was immediately opposed by Gang Shin. After all, Yeren Li needed to stay in the rear to command the battle, and he had thought of several excellent candidates, so he dialed the phone. That's right, this call was to Hyun-Sok Lee. Gang Shin didn't say much, getting straight to the point. I'd like to borrow Dongjae. Hyun-Sok Lee was somewhat puzzled. Is something wrong? Should Abyss come help? No need, if Abyss takes action things will get big. I'm just going somewhere to settle a personal grudge. If you're worried about Dongjae, you can send a guard. Hyun-Sok Lee smiled faintly, and ultimately agreed to the request. After all, he had promised to help Gang Shin before. Seeing Hyun-Sok Lee agree, Gang Shin secretly breathed a sigh of relief. If nothing unexpected happened, the guard Hyun-Sok Lee sent would definitely be Sang Mi-yun. This way both warrior and buffer would be gathered. As for the mage, Gang Shin immediately dialed another number. That's right, in Gang Shin's phone book, only Yuri Jong was qualified, though his phone book didn't have many people. After hearing Gang Shin's request, Yuri Jong didn't hesitate at all and agreed almost instantly. On the other side, Donghyun Gang, who realized his mistake, began to panic and kept making calls calls again and again. Finally, on the 5th try, the call was answered. "What is it, Dongyun Gang?" Dongyun Gang flew into a rage. "Why did it take so long to answer? How long are you going to stand by and watch? Guildmaster, if you don't step forward, everyone will die." Although Dongyun Gang was very panicked, the Guildmaster on the other end was very calm and only replied with 5 words. "Then let them all die." At these words, Dongyun Gang completely lost it. "You bastard. You're not planning to abandon the organization, are you? What are you saying? How can it be called abandoning? Whether it's Eclipse or Chongmayong detention camp, they only exist because of Mr. Siwan Jang. I hope you can fulfill your responsibility before you die." After saying this, he hung up the phone, leaving Dongyun Gang gnashing his teeth. On the other side, the so-called Eclipse Guildmaster was just a front. His true identity was Casey Lex, Guildmaster of Country M's #1 Guild Fortuna. The furious Dongyun Gang immediately uploaded the video online, originally thinking this would ruin Siwan Jang's reputation. But Siwan Jang's reputation was simply too great. Whether it was netizen comments or platform handling, they were undoubtedly telling Dongyun Gang that Eclipse was finished. On this point, he was inferior to Ganghu Shin, but the defeated Dongyun Gang didn't plan to wait for death, since there was no way to retreat, then run forward. Unexpectedly, as soon as he said this, a subordinate ran in to notify Dongyun Gang that a group of Blue Eyes people had come outside and surrounded the concentration camp. Upon receiving the news, Dongyun Gang immediately came forward to command all the soldiers in the concentration camp, and the insider on the side also began to take action. After turning off all surveillance, he quietly moved aside the boxes that originally covered the secret passage. Everyone thus began the official assassination operation. On the other side, after giving orders to his subordinates, Dongyun Gang secretly came to a hidden room. After he entered, a familiar figure suddenly appeared. This person was Sohui Cha, who had been abandoned by the organization not long ago. She had come for revenge. At the same time, Ganghu Shin saw the timing was about right, so he had everyone change into disguises and prepare to depart. A few minutes later, everyone arrived at the detention center, and as soon as they entered the gate, corpses appeared before their eyes. This sight made everyone feel inexplicable anger. Ganghu Shin told everyone not to be impulsive. The primary target was Dongyun Gang. While speaking, Ganghu Shin glanced at the insider beside him, somewhat worried he might betray them. So he had Sehyuk Jeon and the other set up sniper rifles outside, to shoot immediately if he made any move. At this moment, several soldiers noticed Ganghu Shin and his group. "Where have you been? Why are you only coming back now? Didn't you hear we're supposed to lock these trash in cells and gather at the main gate?" To avoid exposing their identities, Ganghu Shin didn't make a fuss and just nodded faintly. At this moment, a soldier was dissatisfied with Dong Jae's gaze and suddenly hammered toward him. Fortunately, Sang Mi-yoon blocked in front of him. This soldier felt his prestige was damaged, so he planned to swing again. But he was stopped by the officer beside him. After all, their current task was to go to the front line to fight, no need to waste time. It really should have ended there. But with this commotion, the officer actually noticed Sang Mi-yoon's name tag. "Who exactly are you? Number 2024 was just dealt with by me yesterday." Then the officer's eyes glanced at the insider. Instructor Han Ji-sun explained. Seeing the matter exposed, Han Ji-sun decisively exposed everyone present, so everyone no longer hid their identities. Since they were exposed, then let's have a big fight. At the same time, Sohui Cha had successfully infiltrated that mysterious room. Unexpectedly, just as she took a step forward, Dongyun Gang's sinister and terrifying face appeared before Sohui Cha. Then with a boom, Sohui Cha was sent flying dozens of meters. The prosthetic on her hand was hit so hard it sparked with electricity. However, Sohui Cha quickly adjusted. The appearance of her enemy made her especially angry. Even the flames she released were much hotter than usual. However, this level of attack posed no threat to Dongyun Gang. After all, there was a 150 level gap between them. Like David trying to fight Goliath, I only took you in because you had some use. Later, I abandoned you simply because you became useless. What trash. At these words, Sohui Cha's heart completely died. Originally, she still held hope, thinking it was that Hyo-young Jin causing trouble. But now it seemed there was no need to hold back anymore. With that, Ji concentrated all her firepower to condense flames. The great fire instantly engulfed Dongyun Gang's body. In just an instant, that level 400 Dongyun Gang turned into charcoal. But was the result really as Sohui Cha saw it? Just as Sohui Cha was marveling at Dongyun Gang's experiment, that Dongyun Gang who was burned to charcoal actually stood up again. At the same time on the other side, Ganghu Shin led everyone through obstacles and enemies. Basically, enemies had their throats slit as soon as they appeared. What's more, there was Yuri Zhang's spatial portal support. It was truly killing invisibly. So everyone quickly ended the battle, and the Sehyuk Jeon siblings subsequently joined everyone. The current situation was that only this workshop had been conquered, and people from other workshops would probably soon come to support. So they had to fight quickly and decisively, take out Dongyun Gang, but there was no way to determine his location. Just as he was thinking this, a tremor suddenly came from beneath his feet. Using mana tracking to look, he saw a flame vortex sweeping from bottom to top. Ganghu Shin sensed something was wrong. Everyone dodged quickly. Just after saying this, the next second a flame vortex shot straight into the sky. Talk about a lucky break. The moment we mentioned a way out, one literally showed up. Looking at this technique, it seemed like Sohui Cha and Dongyun Gang were fighting. How did they start fighting? Before Ganghu Shin could think more, Sehyuk Jeon's painful groans came from the side. It turned out Sehyuk Jeon hadn't dodged that last strike. and his shoulder was injured. "You all block Eclipse's forces here. I'll go down alone to kill Dongyong Gang." Everyone still wanted to stop him, but Gonghu Shin's mind was made up. In the end, everyone helplessly chose to agree. Before leaving, Yuri Zhang gave him a new pill developed by K. "Please take it in an emergency situation." Gonghu Shin smiled faintly. "Don't worry, I'll definitely return safely." With that, he resolutely jumped down that pitch-black, danger-filled cavern. A few seconds later, Gonghu Shin successfully arrived at the bottom, where smoke filled the air, and the temperature was ridiculously high. Then Gonghu Shin subconsciously activated mana tracking, and subsequently discovered the heat source inside the smoke. The next second, it was actually So Hui Cha who rushed out from the smoke, but she had no desire to attack, only tightly grasped Gonghu Shin's chest. After doing this, she fell straight down. It looked like she was dead, and moreover died with eyes wide open. However, Gonghu Shin couldn't care about that much, and didn't have time to care. The urgent matter was to first deal with Dongyun Gang before him. According to intelligence, Dongyun Gang was a level 500 plus fighter. He had a total of 4 contracted constellations, and all were combat related. Seeing the person was Gonghu Shin, Dongyun Gang couldn't help laughing. "Look what the cat dragged in." As soon as he finished speaking, Gonghu Shin immediately sensed something was wrong. He saw a culture dish placed beside Dongyun Gang. Inside was clearly Bazumie. "You bastard, you actually kidnapped living people to make into Bazumie." Dongyun Gang was indifferent. "So what? I'm just turning useless human trash into human resources." Gonghu Shin cursed inwardly. What a madman. Then decisively chose to take the pill. Then in the blink of an eye, he instantly released 4 clones. However, this method was child's play before Dongyun Gang. One punch eliminated all the clones. It even shattered Gonghu Shin's shield. Before he could react much, Dongyun Gang had unknowingly appeared behind him. A punch swept past, Gonghu Shin quickly dodged and luckily escaped disaster. Having escaped, he immediately entered stealth mode, thinking to try if he could successfully ambush. But this move was seen through in just an instant by the experienced Dongyun Gang. So Gonghu Shin's fate next was predictable, a beating was inevitable, even the activated shield was smashed to pieces. At the critical moment, Slime actually came out on its own and bounced Dongyun Gang away. Gonghu Shin also seized the opportunity. A fire-imbued dagger went straight for Dongyun Gang's neck. Skill decapitation, the blade passed and blood instantly gushed out. Dongyun Gang's body stiffened, and he fell straight to the ground. After ending the battle, Gonghu Shin only felt very lucky. If this guy had released Bazumie from the start, then he would be the one lying on the ground now. At this moment, the Dimension Marauder reminded that the opponent's constellation could not be seized now. This meant Dongyun Gang wasn't dead yet. As soon as the words fell, a punch suddenly struck. This punch was extremely fierce, not only shattering the culture dish made of special materials, but also sending Gonghu Shin back dozens of meters, collapsing to the ground. "Dongyun Gang, what did you do to your body?" Dongyun Gang smiled faintly. "Didn't I say? The first step to survival is to give up being human. Don't worry, before long you'll become like this too." At these words, Gonghu Shin sensed something wrong. Did he transform himself into Bazumie? But Bazumie shouldn't have regeneration ability. "I don't want to be your pet." Dongyun Gang was indifferent. Then he ordered all Bazumie to go up for support. "It doesn't matter if you don't, there should be some valuable humans up there." Seeing the situation, Gonghu Shin couldn't help cursing inwardly, but compared to Bazumie, Dongyun Gang before him was the hardest to deal with. While fighting, Gonghu Shin silently thought of countermeasures. Vision deprivation and stealth skills were useless now. After this guy became Bazumie, he could find my presence through smell. It seemed there was only one last method. With that, he used the grab skill, catching Dongyun Gang off guard. Then Gonghu Shin immediately used rapid slash on Dongyun Gang. However, while slashing, he noticed something was off. This was the sound of metal collision. Could it be? Before Gonghu Shin could think more, Dongyun Gang's punch had already reached Gonghu Shin. This strike sent him flying back dozens of meters before stopping. The dagger was also flung away. However, Dongyun Gang wasn't much better off. Countless wounds on his body were all detonated by Gonghu Shin. But what he never expected was this guy's recovery ability was so terrifying. He recovered in just a few seconds. "This level of attack is like a scratch. My strength is beyond human category." After hearing this, Gonghu Shin was somewhat incredulous. Logically speaking, any person should have a weakness. With that, he used mana tracking to explore. Holy cow! There was actually a massive black mana at Dongyun Gang's chest. Looking closely, his heart actually had a magic stone. It seemed this was the reason Dongyun Gang became like this. No wonder So Hui Cha tightly grasped my chest at that time, so this was the weakness. Since he knew the reason, then what came next would be easier. Just as Gonghu Shin was thinking this, he only felt his head spinning. Then his legs went soft and he collapsed to the ground like a dead dog. Gonghu Shin sensed something wrong. The pill's side effects had come. Seeing this situation, Dongyun Gang couldn't help laughing. Mana was already condensing in his hand. "It's over, Gonghu Shin. How can you fight me without mana?" Gonghu Shin slowly stood up. "If I don't have mana, naturally I have other things." With that, a black-red aura began to condense in his hand. Then with extremely fast speed, he slashed out this strike. The special effect of this strike resembled a black moon, so it was called Black Moon Rend. It was the strongest strike Gonghu Shin released with all his dark force. With this move, Dongyun Gang finally died. The system also prompted successful seizure of the constellation Unbreakable Warrior, and his level also increased by 50 levels, reaching level 154. This surprised Gonghu Shin, so defeating a guy 5 times higher level gives this much experience. However, the situation above was definitely not good now. He had to recover quickly. With that, he hurriedly took out his Bluetooth and turned on classical music. This finally allowed his battered body to recover a bit of vitality. At the same time, on the other side, everyone was indeed caught in a bitter battle. However, with the tacit cooperation of several people, only the last Bezumie remained. But everyone was already at the end of their rope. There was simply no extra mana to continue fighting. They were soon broken through one by Bezumie, but in the nick of time, a broken corpse attracted the attention of two people. Looking closely, it was actually Dongyang Gang's corpse. At this moment, Gangushin quietly appeared behind Bezumie and released a black moon rend. Bezumie was cut in half on the spot. After landing, Gangushin's exhausted body ultimately couldn't hold on. He staggered and almost fainted. Fortunately, Yeren Li came forward to support him. Otherwise, he would really be embarrassed. As soon as Yuri Zhong saw Gangushin was safe, she immediately rushed over, her eyes full of excitement. But now was not the time to reminisce. The urgent matter was to leave this troublesome place first. After this incident, Eclipse completely fell, and Blue Eyes merged with Black Lion Guild to become Daejeon's #1 power. Dongjae Park and the scarred Song Miyun immediately returned to the abyss. This battle brought Dongjae much gain, laying the foundation for future growth. Yuri Zhong returned to Ground Zero to take care of Kei and investigate clues about Siwan Zhang's search for herbs. However, the most regrettable part of this battle was that Seok Jeon ultimately sacrificed himself. Not only Seong Jeon's husband, but also her brother had left her. Gangushin felt deep regret about this. He had Seok Jeon guard outside precisely to prevent him from dying at Dongyong Gang's hands, like in the novel. In the end, even though Gangushin changed the entire process, Seok Jeon's death still couldn't be avoided.